on a Sunday morning when everybody is a little relaxed and lazy. So we can say our audience has been our biggest cheerleaders, and therefore we are grateful for their support to the event. We would, of course, like to thank our sponsors and partners for their support as well. Presenting partner, Aditya Birla Group, Gold Partners, KIT University, Rungta Sons Private Limited, Associate Partners, MGM Minerals Limited, Jindal Steel, S&M, IMFA, AMNS India, Sai International School, MCL, Sonsi Euphonia, Paradip Port Authority, NALCO, Auto Partner, Book Partner, Oxford Bookstore, Hospitality Partner, Mayfair Hotels and Resorts, Knowledge Partner, edX Live, Radio Partner, 92.7 Big FM, Print Partner, Pramay, TV Partner, News 7. We are thankful to all our partners for their support to Odisha Literary Festival, not just this year, but year after year. We would like to let you know that we have some very exciting sessions lined up for the day, and we are ending with a contest. You know, by the afternoon, we'll be ending it with a contest which is going to be very, very exciting for everybody here, including the participants. Just a minute, we'll get to know more about it as the day progresses. We already have Dr. Ram Mahadev here with us, so we extend a very warm welcome to him to OLF 2025. We should be starting in a very short while. I'll once again request backbenchers, if you can please step forward and take seats right a little, maybe those at the back, maybe you guys could come a little ahead so that as and when people are coming in, they can take the seats at the back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 10:09. We will be starting exactly at 10:15. I'll request everybody to please take their seats and get settled. So how many of you were present with us yesterday on day one? Can we have, yes. So could you say, okay, we have some new crowd as well for day two, which is nice, but can you tell us how did you find day one of Odisha Literary Festival? Fantastic? Oh, great. So we are hoping to keep up with that momentum today as well. We have the CEO, the New Indian Express, Ms. Lakshmi Menon, also with us. So a very warm welcome to her. And like I said, we should be starting in the next few minutes. The mandatory request, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, please do keep your mobile phones in silent mode before we begin. ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଅନୁରୋଧ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ମୋବାଇଲ ଫୋନ୍ସକୁ ଆପଣ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସାଇଲେଣ୍ଟ ମୋଡରେ ରଖି ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ଆମେ 5 ମିନିଟ ଭିତରେ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମକୁ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିବୁ And of course, the request to all our moderators to ensure that we are sticking to the time schedule. Good to see that those who are already settled are also going through today's New Indian Express paper, which is nice. So you could also find coverage of day one in the newspaper. You could take a look at that, besides all other important news of the day that has been covered in the paper. So it actually is a lot of hard work when a brand like a newspaper brand like the New Indian Express comes up with a festival like this in Bhubaneswar. The team has to go back, report, file their stories, get them printed and be ready so that when all you lovely people come here and see on your table the new paper, today's paper, and have all the information covered, that's something, satisfaction which the entire team has. So a lot of hard work goes behind that. So we must actually give a round of applause to the entire team of the New Indian Express, including the Bhubaneswar team who work hard to get this done. We would also like to acknowledge that the event is managed by Sanket team. So they have been associated with the festival for I think since ever, from the beginning. So we would like to also acknowledge their presence and their support to Odisha Literary Festival, Team Sanket. And of course, we have to thank the photographers too, because they are the ones who are getting all. Please take their seats and please keep your mobile phones in silent mode. I'll also request everybody to ensure that you're not speaking among yourselves when a discussion is going on. Yesterday, there were quite a bit disturbances when some sessions were going on, so we'll request everybody to maintain some discipline when a panel is going on so that it does not bother our speakers. And we want your attention right on the stage. So ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start with a session that is going to take you into the world of ideas, politics, and identity, because we have with us the thinker, Dr. Ram Madhav, in conversation with senior journalist Ms. Kaveri Bamzai on the Hindutva paradigm, a new definition. Can we have a big round of applause for them? Dr. Ram Madhav is an Indian politician, strategic thinker, and author, currently serving as president of the India Foundation, a leading New Delhi-based think tank. Under his leadership, India Foundation has curated initiatives such as the Indian Ocean Conference, Dharmadham Conference, ASEAN India Youth Summit. During India's G20 presidency, he was instrumental in conceptualizing the R20 Forum, promoting interfaith dialogue. Formerly the National General Secretary of the Bharatiya Janata Party, he played a pivotal role in shaping political strategy in Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, and the Northeast. His books include The Hindutva Paradigm, Because India Comes First, Uneasy Neighbors, and Partition Freedom. He also contributes columns to the Indian Express, Hindustan Times, and Open Magazine. It's an honor to welcome him on stage for this session now with a huge round of applause from all of you as I let Ms. Bamzai take this session forward from here.
So, Ramadevji, I was most interested when I was reading our... Sorry?
Check.
So, reading our constitution, our pride, for a minute I thought it was a congressman who's writing this. So, this sudden liberal darling that you have become, and a lot of very prominent liberal thinkers are noticing what they feel is a shift in your ideology. I wouldn't say ideology, but in your thinking. I think your ideology remains of national conservatism, but there's a slight shift in your thinking, especially the praise for Nehru. So I was wondering how that plays out with your thinking and the way you've articulated both a new world order as well as a new kind of civilizational conservatism in India.
Thank you, Kaveri, first of all, for hosting me this year in this Odisha Literature Festival. It is always a pleasure to come to Odisha. It's a wonderful state, beautiful state, but also to come for this session hosted by Indian Express.
We can't have Lit Fest without you.
Yes. So thank you for hosting me. Now, coming to that question about how do we treat history.
Yes.
I, for one, always believed that at least history should be seen from a very non-partisan prism. You can interpret historical events and incidents, but when you narrate incidents, you should be true to them. Making of India's constitution. I mean, I started India's constitution's journey from 1919.
Yes.
That was the first Montagu-Chelmsford reforms came when the Congress, the then Congress, first stood up to oppose it. It was Gandhi who took the decision that no, we should not accept these rules because these were being framed by the Britishers without any involvement of us Indians. How can you frame rules for my country without any involvement of my people? That was his logic. Then he went on to have non-cooperation movement and all that. So that is where the whole journey of making of India's constitution began. So that journey was led by the Congress as a movement. May say that when that Congress movement was taking place and it was it was fighting against the British domination and all, even those who were the founder of RSS was also a part of that Congress. Dr. Hedgewar, the RSS founder, was very much a part of that Congress which was fighting against the British imposition of their rules, their constitution and all. So much so that in 1920, when Congress Adhiveshan happened in Nagpur, Dr. Hedgewar, who became the founder of RSS later, proposed to Gandhi that we should demand complete independence, Purna Swaraj, from the British. Gandhi was of a different opinion. For that matter, I wrote in that book, Our Constitution, Our Pride, that until 1929, the Congress was of the view that we should only ask dominion status. But Hedgewar insisted, no, ask for total independence, no dominion, nothing doing, no trace of British colonialism should be there on our country. You know, very interestingly, in 2028, Congress came up with a draft constitution, which is called the Patel Report. Nehru Report. Nehru Report was produced. The Nehru Report was opposed by two young Turks in Congress, Jawaharlal Nehru, because Nehru Report was made by Motilal Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru's father, opposed by his son, Jawaharlal Nehru, and the other leader was Subhash Chandra Bose. These two opposed that report only on one ground, and that ground was the ground that Dr. Hedgewar took in 1920, that we should not agree for dominion status, we should demand Purna Swaraj. That's why in 1929, Congress passes that Purna Swaraj resolution in Lahore. So why I'm giving this long explanation is that journey was a fascinating journey. I mean, how we actually insisted upon having our constitution written by us. That fight, when I described, I did mention about contribution of all leaders, whether it was Nehru, whether it was Subhash Chandra Bose, and even Gandhi, all those people. Whatever credit they deserve should be given. We had our issues about, I mentioned those issues also in my book, with Nehru's way of tackling Ambedkar, for example. Hindu Code Bill, how he ditched Ambedkar. I gave one full chapter for that. So where the credit is due, there we should give it. That's how we should look at history. It is prone to interpretations. I don't deny that.
But are you suggesting that the Purna Swaraj idea, which was a Congress idea, was actually Hedgewar's idea?
Hedgewar proposed it in 2020 in a meeting.
1920.
I'm sorry. 1920, when the Congress Adhiveshan took place in Nagpur. In 1920, Congress Adhiveshan happened in Nagpur. Dr. Hedgewar was one of the local Congress leaders. He was also co-organizer of the organizing committee there. So he, in that capacity, had a chance to meet with Gandhi and other leaders. There he proposed that we should only seek complete independence. But Gandhi had this view that it is too early for us to demand total independence. It has to happen probably gradually. Finally, Nehru report agrees for dominion status, 1928 report. Then Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Bose threatened that if you pass this as our report, we will quit Congress. This was the threat given by them. Then that report was withdrawn, and then they went ahead with Purna Swaraj.
So this is a most interesting idea that the RSS in its 100th year is actually acknowledging some kind of collaboration or some kind of understanding with the Congress, which perhaps has been its bitterest enemy.
First of all, the Congress that we are talking about, which played that pivotal role in securing independence for our country, was not a political party.
Yes.
It was a platform.
And Gandhi
And
didn't
everybody,
want it to be a political party.
Gandhi was trying to lead that. Everybody, whether it was a revolutionary or a very radical person like Subhash Chandra Bose, or somebody who is a Hindutvavadi like Dr. Hedgewar, all of them found that as a very, very potent platform for fight against the British. So Congress was just a platform. That's the reason why many RSS people also used that platform to participate in the independence struggle. Dr. Hedgewar, after starting RSS, went to jail twice participating in the independence movement. Even through 1942, Quit India movement, RSS people found Congress as the platform to, fight for independence and went to jail. Some were killed. All that happened. So it was a common platform. That was the reason why Gandhi, immediately after independence, suggested that this Congress, which was a united platform for all Indians, it had no politics except the aim of independence, so it should not be converted into a political party. It should be disbanded. 27 January 1948. Mark this date. Gandhi dictates a resolution to his disciples to be presented in the proposed Congress Adhiveshan in the first week of February 1948. In that he clearly says, now that we secured independence, Congress should be disbanded as a political party. 3 days later, Gandhi was murdered. The Congress Adhiveshan never took place. This resolution never saw the light of the day. Nehru thought, let me milk the fame and the name and popularity of Congress, convert into political party, and get benefit of innocent masses who thought that these are the people who brought us independence, whereas that was not the fact. So during the independence movement, Congress played a pivotal role. We always agreed, but I also add a rider here. When I say we agree that Congress played a pivotal role, what prevents today's Congress to agree that RSS also has had a role to play in that? We did play our role because it was a platform. So in that sense, yes, Congress of that time had everybody as a part of it.
When you suggest that Nehru milked the legacy of Gandhi for his benefit, it is also a fact that you needed a leadership of independent India. And that is where you had the Constituent Assembly and you had all those debates which you chronicle so well. And the fact that it was an all-party debate, that it also included people like Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. But if you have an independent India, you also need a political party to run the government. So it's a bit idealistic to suggest that, yes, they ought to have followed Gandhi and disbanded the Congress and kept it as a movement. How else would the government run?
No. First of all, don't forget that Constituent Assembly was created not through any electoral process alone. Each state was asked to nominate 4 people, British provinces, but kingdoms, I mean, the provinces, the independent states that existed, they were also asked to nominate people. So this was not an elected assembly. Constituent Assembly was not an elected assembly. It was a nominated assembly.
But it was representative.
Representative of everybody.
Yes.
That's why Shyam Prasad Mukherjee was there.
Exactly.
That's why there were Muslim League was there initially between 1946 November when it started its proceedings till March. Muslim League was also there in that.
Yes.
Then Muslim League left and went away to Pakistan. So it was a body created by a different process, different method. It was not an elected body in the first place. Now, coming to that question as to why should Nehru not do that, the simple point is Congress is not the personal property of Nehru family. It was not their property. It was the property of whole country. When Forward Bloc went out, no, Subhash Chandra Bose left Congress, he started Forward Bloc. Forward Bloc continued as a political party. Some people like Shyam Prasad Mukherjee went out and started Bharatiya Janata Sangh. They started a party. Nehru and Patel, others would have gone and started a different political party. And in the independent India, contested 1952 elections as a separate party. But for them, it was such a big attraction that if I use Congress name, the whole legacy of independence movement will completely accrue to me. It was a very uneven level playing field. Not a level playing field, an uneven playing field offered to parties at the time of independence, but that's all history. I'm just saying, mentioning it as a part of history, as an argument. You cannot reverse it now anyway, but Gandhi did not want Congress to become a political party, but Nehru wanted it.
But that is well known. I mean, it's a fact. I think people know that there was a difference of opinion. Even on Pakistan, there was a difference of opinion between Gandhi
In fact, very interestingly, you used that Gandhi's legacy.
Yeah.
Gandhi's legacy was essentially exploited by Nehru, whereas Nehru openly told Gandhi, there is a letter he writes to Gandhi, I think on 5th November 1945. In that Nehru writes to Gandhi that when I read your Hind Swaraj, I never supported the ideas that you articulated in that. Today, even I worked with so many years also, even today, I don't agree with your proposition like Gram Swaraj, rural upliftment, all these things. These are all very backward ideas. I do not agree with you. We consider him to be the inheritor of Gandhi's legacy, but Nehru was clear that I am not the inheritor of your legacy. I am inheritor of your name popularity.
But I think that's a bit.
It's a fact. I'm giving you facts. Give me a contradictory facts.
No, it is a fact, but I think to suggest that we would run the country as a collection of village republics, which is actually what Gandhiji wanted, perhaps did not suit, the people in power at that point. And it's not just Nehru, it was also Patel. Nehru alone did not take all the decisions. And as you yourself have shown in the Constituent Assembly debates, Ambedkar had a huge role to play. And you point out that despite being so ill, he virtually shouldered the entire burden of drafting the Constitution. And he also said that I would be happy to burn it if I could. So I think the time that you talk about was very different from the time we are in now. And that is what I wanted to focus on. the idea of the pluralism of that time. You also talk about the basic tenets of the Constitution in terms of, judicial independence, democratic institutions. All these seem to be under fire now. We've heard so much about the Election Commission. We've heard so much about, the collegium system in the judiciary. These very tenets seem to be under fire now, under attack now. And you yourself have said that these were brilliant ideas. And you say that it was not part of the colonial hangover, as people say. So what would you have to say to that, given that you have actually praised all these tenets that we have inherited?
Look, first of all, the time argument, that time it was different, this time is different, don't apply it selectively. If you say that, then every argument I will say that. For everything, why RSS did like that, and that time was different. It won't work. History doesn't work that way. In history, if there were mistakes, we have to point out. One need not agree. These are interpretations, I said. History is prone to interpretations. So I had a view, somebody else can have a different view. But coming to that point of Ambedkar's role, why I specifically highlighted it was, these days, it has become fashionable with some people, in fact, in our group also, to say that, no, it's a colonial constitution, nothing of our own was there, etc., etc. Okay, in the process of constitution making, people like B.N. Rao went to different countries, tried to try to understand best practices in those countries, they tried to incorporate. But that doesn't make it a colonial constitution. Then I would today say that whole democracy is colonial. One can say that. You have to understand how much struggle went behind making this constitution. Our constitution, of course, is longest, but it took the longest time to make also. We forget. So much of energy was spent on discussing every aspect of it. And in that, Ambedkar's role was very critical. Now, some people even criticize that, no, Ambedkar did not do anything. Somebody else did it. No. Somebody else drafted it. A team of 7 members was constituted to draft it. But even then, out of 7, 5 were always absent.
5 were ill or...
For some reason. Yeah. Ambedkar had to work day and night to prepare it. But he had to face so many questions. Constituent Assembly debates, see, every 3rd page, Ambedkar standing up and intervening. So much work he did, we should respect it. Now, coming to that important point, as to what happened to the constitution today, I would say, see, certain aspects have been under scrutiny from time to time in the last 25 years. We forget all that. For example, today this whole issue of what is happening with elections, how are the elections I handled Kashmir. The only reason why Kashmir went into the stranglehold of the terrorists was 1987 election. 1987 election was blatantly rigged by the Congress party. So they used the election commission at that time to rig an election. I'm not saying that because they did it, somebody else should do it now. I'm not giving that equivalence. But those who are trying to say that today something is happening, it never happened before, I said, yes, in history, there were, in fact, my book has one full chapter which talks about how the constitution has been distorted on various occasions. There are 5, 6 occasions I highlighted. Coming to today's case, what is this whole controversy about SIR, you tell me? Today, Election Commission is saying, I will do it across the entire country. Do we agree or not agree? Should we now weed out the names of dead people? Should we not weed out the names of people who have more than one voter ID, voting name in the electoral list in more than one place? Should we not make our elections more transparent? Tell me one thing. How can election know which party I'm going to vote? It doesn't know. Then how can it remove selectively a BJP supporter, a Congress supporter? What is this whole tamasha?
But when you have multiple people voting from one identity, multiple use of one identity, then it's a problem, right?
So that whole SIR process is only limited. It's a time-to-time exercise. It is only limited to weeding out, the names of dead people.
That is SIR.
That is the whole process.
We're talking about the other issue of multiple use, what the Congress calls vote chori.
No, so the problem is, in India, elections don't take place at one time.
Yeah.
And you vote in one particular state now, after 3 months, once this mark is gone, you go and vote in another state in 3 months again. You are voting at multiple places. You know, today India has close to 98 or 99 crore voters. Let us first of all see, do we really have so many voters, or there is so much of duplicacy also happening? If the duplicacy is there, what is the harm in weeding it out, removing it? That process has to happen. Why controversy over that? How can election commission take out only select people? How is it possible?
So you're saying that the election commission, the judiciary, these are all as independent as they were intended to be?
I think so. I'm just going through a very interesting book on Supreme Court and other courts, how justice is being delivered or denied. It's a very interesting compilation of articles. These institutions have been under scrutiny from time to time. Media has its own way of scrutinizing whether Supreme Court is doing its job correctly or not, whether Election Commission is doing its job correctly or not. But with those watchdogs in place, these institutions are supposed to be as independent as they can be. They are definitely independent.
Let us move a little away from this and look at the new emerging world order. And you've been talking about it, you've been talking about regional blocs, you've been talking about the idea of conservatism, an Indian idea of conservatism. That now famous picture of Mr. Modi with Xi Jinping and Putin, which has gone viral and which is the whole world is talking about it. What does it say about India's foreign policy? You've been advocating strategic autonomy for the longest time. Is it an opportunity for India, or is it really India making the best of a bad job?
India under Prime Minister Modi decided to pursue the foreign policy in a very autonomous way. That is what the foreign minister called as strategic autonomy.
Yeah.
What strategic autonomy essentially meant was, I will decide about my relationship with any other country purely on a bilateral basis. I won't bring any third country. I don't look at my relationship with a given country from the prism of a third country. That is what is called strategic autonomy. It was a very, very bold idea when it was articulated and initiated, but today it's in a way compulsion for us. In the kind of a very volatile, fragmented world, how can you decide to side with anybody? You have to be autonomous. And by the way, here I give credit not only to our government, but to all the successive governments. We have always maintained some amount of neutrality. We never joined any bloc. You know, those who know about the bloc politics of last century,
Yeah.
There was a bloc of the
We were
Soviets
always
and
non-aligned.
we never joined. We remained. Only problem was when we said non-aligned, we were neither here nor there. We were in neither here nor there group.
So
But
now
today,
we're firmly
strategic
in
autonomy
China's
is
camp.
now. So we are here also, there also. So
How are we
you-
here with Mr. Trump behaving the way he does?
You see, there will be, we had similar issues with other countries also occasionally. Since you mentioned about Trump, even about America, let me remind, lots of youngsters are there. Read the history of US-India relations. We have seen such ups and downs
yes.
in the past also, Kaveri.
Especially
You know.
Nixon and
Oh,
Mrs.
the-
Gandhi.
very
they
good
had
that you
the-
mentioned about
They
Nixon.
had the most fractious relationship.
Nixon's time was one of the most difficult times in
Yeah.
our relations. Then later came Clinton's time.
Yes.
When we tried the nuclear bomb, Clinton was furious. Clinton used everything to suppress
I
us.
think we
So
were-
there were
so we
occasions.
sanctioned.
This was a phase, I think, and it will pass. But that doesn't mean we will now move to USA again, we leave them. No, we always maintained that neutrality. We always maintained that autonomy. So today we are reading a little too much into one photograph because of the situation. But we all know that before 2019, Xi Jinping and Modi had such good equation that you remember 2014 he came to Ahmedabad, they were together on a jhula. You called it jhula diplomacy.
Who can forget that image?
Yes, jhula diplomacy. So we had our relations with all countries. We had good relations with them. Of course, except one or two neighbors. But otherwise, we had good relations with all our big countries in the world. That is what is the essence of strategic autonomy. I only added, today, it's also a compulsion for us. Because there is no powerful bloc anymore in the world.
So how does India negotiate this new world order? You've been studying it for the longest time. And I also note that you've always looked at it as a continuous process. You've also acknowledged former Prime Minister and late Prime Minister P.V.R. Narasimha Rao's role. You've talked about the Look East policy. You've talked about Manmohan Singh's role as well. So you've seen this as a continuum. Where are we now? Are we again neither here nor there, or will we keep shifting as the wind blows us?
Oh, no. You see, I do agree that foreign policy is a continuum. Every government adds an important dimension to
Right.
it. And the current government's contribution, I said, is in the form of two things. One is strategic autonomy. Second one was supposed to be neighborhood first.
Yes.
On neighborhood first, I would say we have challenges today. We have some
Many
difficulties
challenges,
today.
I would say.
I don't deny that.
I think we are perhaps at the lowest ebb in our relationships with our neighbors.
You know, we do have challenges, I do agree, in our neighborhood policy. Probably we have to invest more in, addressing these challenges. These things happen when you are neighbors, these things always happen. But to that main question as to what will be the, is it a challenge or an opportunity? I would say this new world that is emerging is also going to offer a great opportunity to our country. India has to now brace up. India has to prepare for this new world. There is a huge opportunity awaiting. But for that, India has to prepare. If we prepare in next 10 years, India will be in a very good position to play a very pivotal role in the world, I would say starting from 2035. But how do we behave in next 10 years is critical. I said in my book, I said next 10 years, we should only talk about three things.
Yeah.
Economy, economy, economy. Only that. When I say economy, students are here. Economy involves research, R&D.
Yeah.
Economy involves innovation. We have to invest in that. We are doing so much. I mean, Prime Minister is pushing very hard, pumping a lot of money, but it has to be a whole of the nation approach. You have a university partner here. Universities have to take up this responsibility. Entrepreneurs have to come forward. We have to do a lot of hard work for 10 years for India to really exploit the emerging new order and emerge as a real good player. We are very romantic people. We think nothing short of Vishwaguru. Of course, we are capable of becoming a Vishwaguru, but Vishwaguru is not an automatic label that will come to us. We have to strive to become that. The striving period is 10 years.
Yeah, and I think you've been somewhat quite realistic when you talk about our strengths and our weaknesses, which is very interesting. You've been talking about how we make 1.5 million engineers a year, but we don't have what you call Imagineers, which is a wonderful word that you've coined, and I think you should talk a little more about it. But this whole idea that perhaps we are missing this opportunity. And a lot of people have said that you are in fact preparing for a post-Modi era. Is that true?
Come on. When will your father die? No. He is the leader of the whole country. People love him and he will be there. And for the party is the greatest strength and asset. So there is no such thing that what is post-Modi era or post somebody else's era. He's there, he's the leader, he's leading the country in a very visionary way.
75 age barrier is emerging.
No, I don't think, not just India, the whole world today has leaders who are capable, who can run the country in the matters of governance. I wrote in one of my articles, that very interesting repost of Ronald, it was Reagan, I think. Reagan was 79 or something when he went for the second election, and his opponent was much younger. So the questioner asked, your old age, your, whatever it brings, will it make you doubtful about your ability to govern? And Reagan says, no, I am not going to exploit the youth and the inexperience of my opponent for political purposes, he says, and in a jocular way. Also, it has a meaning. In governance of a country of this size and this diversity, you need experience, you need vision, you need maturity, which comes with years. So we don't have to decide that, this is the cutoff year for you to be something in the politics. While saying that, I would say more and more youngsters needed to come up. And in that, I can take a little credit. I mean, not me, this government. Today, the average age of this cabinet is 58. It came below 60 after many, many years, I think for the first time, if I remember. So we have to bring it further down. Maybe more younger people have to join the government and politics and all. But that doesn't mean seniors should simply retire or go away.
So I think just coming back to the idea of how do we prepare, you have been, as I said, somewhat realistic about the fact that we are not doing enough. We have good ideas, but when it comes to implementation, the idea of industry, academia, for instance, the connect, all these things haven't quite worked out. Tell us a little about how you hope that this will work out in the next 10 years, as you see, which are critical.
Now, we have to become a nation in a hurry. To be in a hurry is not wrong. There will be occasions when you should really be in a hurry because you will miss the bus. If you are a little delayed
it's
and
not
bus
even
is
a
already
bus now, it's a high-speed rail, it's a bullet train.
Of course. Anecdotally, I'm generally saying. So we have to really today brace up. Prime Minister has been pushing the country into thinking on those lines. Just read his speech from the Red Fort on 15th August. He talked about the vision. But that vision, he is not going to achieve alone. He wants the whole country to now take that as the mission. In a mission mode, we have to work. In that, I'm saying it has to be a whole of the nation approach. When I say whole of the nation, let me clarify. Government at the national level, visionary government we have, visionary prime minister we have. We need to have a similar approach at the states. Our states have to brace up today. Odisha has to brace up today. I know some states are now talking in terms of 1 trillion economy, 3 trillion economy. Talking is one thing. You have to take steps in that direction. Then our corporates have to come forward. Do you know? I feel very sorry that
There's
our
the largest
corporates.
flight of our corporates to the West currently.
Yes. But Indian corporates are so very strong. But how much are they really investing in R&D or innovation in these areas? We need to think about that. You need to think about our youngsters. They should not only aspire to become engineers, they have to become Imagineers. How do I create something new? That is what is called innovation. In Innovation Index, thanks to the push given by Government of India, we have advanced a little bit, but our innovation still remains largely imitation. It's not real innovation. So we need to really think of going ahead of the curve. We are followers of the curve. We want all those things that the world achieved. We want bullet train in India. We want metro in India. But remember, bullet train ran in Japan in 1960s.
Yes.
Metro ran in the world in Germany in 1936. We are catching up. We have to catch up. We have to do all those things. But how do we go ahead of the curve? How do we set the precedent for other countries to follow? There we have the capacity, but we also have lethargy. Because we are a dreaming people.
Yes, so we dream of being Vishwaguru, but we aren't one as yet. Is that the sum of what you're saying?
No, we have the ability, capability, we have the wisdom, we have everything, but no, Vishwaguru, that's why I said Vishwaguru is not something that you call yourself.
The world
has to call you Vishwaguru. For that, you have to rise to that level. I said in my book, we can close here, 4 things I said. We need to create absolute unity in the country to be really respected by the world. Number 2, we have to build a strong economy. We have to build unity, we have to build prosperity. Prosperity involves R&D, innovation, enterprise, investments, all that. We need to build security, a strong, secure nation. 4th, we need to build a dignified India. Are we a dignified nation today? We have to think on those lines. Are we a rule-abiding nation? Are we, Prime Minister started that Swachh Bharat, clean up India. How clean are we today, even today? How efficient are our systems today? We have to build a dignified Bharat. Then we aspire to be that. what we call as Vishwaguru. So for that, it has to be a whole of nation effort, and whole of nation also we have to be in a hurry. We are very leisurely. We are very romantic, very lethargic, and we assume that by somehow Modi ji will make India Viksit Bharat by 2047. He will, whatever he can do, he will, and he is already doing it. But what about us? That's what I'm saying. This country needs to be in that mode of, hurriness and all that. Why I'm saying is, I just give one example. What China is today is just because of 2 decades of 1980s and 1990s.
Yes. They
In
outstripped the
1980s
world.
and 1990s, they changed the mode. They moved in such a fast way, and they became utterly pragmatic. No romantic at all, utter pragmatism, utter pragmatism. What is good for my country is what I will do. No ideology, no philosophy, nothing. Only good of the country. In 20 years, China changed, and where it is today is because of those 20 years. I would say, for us, those 20 years began in 2015. We already completed 10 years. Another 10 years we will get. We have got the momentum, but this momentum has to be further enhanced.
So, as I said, you're preparing for a post-Modi era.
No, this is not post-Modi or anything. Modi ji is there, he will be there as long as he will be there, but it has to be the whole nation approach, I'm saying. The whole nation has to now
And a new
catch up with him.
and a new kind of civic culture, as you said.
Oh, that of course is very important. I mean, we need to build a dignified Bharat, a dignified India. It's a big subject, but it has to be a focus
Yes.
for everybody.
So I would urge all of you to read the book and see some very interesting ideas that have emerged, which make you question some of the things that we've believed in for long. I have a question from Dr. J.M. Rao, which I'll ask quickly. The British changed the name of Kalinga Mahasagar to the Bay of Bengal. In the near future, can we expect a change back to the original name?
So,
I think this is a very specific question, specific to Odisha.
Yes, I mean, colonizers have done so many
Yeah.
things. What is within our jurisdiction we can do, but these oceans are also, oceans don't belong to any one country alone, just as South China Sea doesn't belong to... No. Yeah, of course. Trump has many things to think and talk, but today they are all international property. They are called global commons. In global commons, you give whatever name you want to give, but world follows a particular pattern that has to be kept in mind. But more important is, since you asked about Bay of Bengal or Indian Ocean, that is the real playground for India. The entrepreneurs here, the political science or international relations people here must understand one thing that we completely ignore is our oceans around us. Do you know that 95% of India's imports and exports happen through Indian Ocean? 95%, because we are a landlocked country. Except Myanmar, we don't have any other way to go out. So, but our attention is very minimal. Otherwise, a state like Odisha, a state like Andhra Pradesh should have fully exploited the oceans in this sense that should have ocean-centric policies, ocean-centric programs, should have developed our ports, used them to export, import, everything. West Coast has done it. If you go to Gujarat, every coastal major town is a port today. Maharashtra is the same. Kerala, with some difficulty, is also doing. Karnataka is making effort. Eastern coast, this Bay of Bengal side, we have not done enough. We have to do much more. I'm saying these are the new ideas on which we work. Not get stuck in that idea. Name change होने से पूरा हो जाएगा. Name तो change हो जाएगा, but काम तो वही रहेगा.
Yeah.
What decision? What?
To Kalinga Mahasagar, which was there for centuries. But can we expect or any proposal for that?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? There can be maybe state government can move that proposal. We can definitely do that.
Why state government? Why not central government?
Yeah, definitely. Good idea. I will definitely take it up.
Yep, please.
By the way, he's not part of the government. You should know that.
But I don't know how many of you know
Yeah.
that the kind of relations the Kalinga Empire enjoyed with countries in
exactly.
this region.
Or
I
the
don't know if you know
Cholas,
about
yeah.
it, or you are only limited to changing the name. Name, of course, it can change, but Kalinga Empire had relations with today's Vietnam, today's Cambodia, today's Sri Lanka. And even you have that Bali Yatra today up to Bali and Indonesia, the entire Indochinese peninsula. How much work happens in that is to be something taken up seriously.
And
Why I'm saying
studied.
is, we have a project in India Foundation on which we are working on Kalinga Champa relations. We found hardly any good scholar in Orissa who has done much work on it. You have to do that. That also has to happen simultaneously in the universities here, because that can build a strong bilateral ties with those countries. Then you can probably do good exports to Vietnam.
So that's a great challenge for the audience. Thank you so much, Mr. Dr. Ram Madhav. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for that very thought-provoking start to the day 2 of OLF. Could I request the editorial director of the New Indian Express, Mr. Prabhu Chawla, to please come on stage and do the honors and felicitate Dr. Ram Madhav with a wonderful way to start. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, just to inform, we are running 30 minutes behind schedule, so I'll request our moderators to ensure that we are sticking to the time for the rest of the sessions. So our next session brings voices from the margins to the center stage, chronicling lives that are often unseen, unheard, and unacknowledged. So for this session, we have Ms. Neha Dikshit, Ms. Ipsita Chakrabarti, Ms. Divya Kandukuri in conversation with Ms. Lovely Mazumdar, and the session is Margin to Mainstream, Chronicling Invisible Lives. As we take some time to set the stage, let me take this opportunity to introduce each one of them. Ms. Neha Dikshit is a trailblazing journalist, author based in New Delhi with 18 years of investigative journalism for outlets like Al Jazeera, The Washington Post, Caravan, and The Wire. She has exposed human rights violation across South Asia. Her debut book, The Many Lives of Saida X, traces 30 years of India through the story of a working-class Muslim woman in Delhi, honored with the International Press Freedom Award 2019, the Chameli Devi Jain Award 2017, and the Lorenzo Natali Award 2011. She is one of India's most courageous narrative voices. We have with us Ms. Ipsita Chakrabarti, an award-winning journalist who has reported extensively on conflict and identity politics in Jammu and Kashmir and Northeast India. She has written for the Times of India, the Telegraph, the Indian Express, and Scroll. Currently teaches writing at the Jindal School of Journalism and Communication. Her debut book, The Pan, offers a polyphonic narrative of Kashmir's conflict, blending reportage with literature. We also have Ms. Divya Kandukuri, an Americanite feminist writer, activist, and development professional. She is the founder of Blue Dawn, a mental health collective foregrounding anti-caste and feminist politics. Her work integrates caste, gender, and mental health into professional and public spaces and is a prominent media voice under the handle Anti-Caste Cat. She has worked with organizations such as Zuban and Beba Collective, and her writing is deeply shaped by her lived experiences as an intercaste, interfaith individual navigating identity and activism. And the session would be moderated by Ms. Lovely Mazumdar, a journalist with the New Indian Express and the chief content editor at edX Live. So can we have a huge round of applause as we welcome our entire panel on stage for this fantastic session, Margins to Mainstream, Chronicling Invisible Lives. I let Ms. Lovely Mazumdar take the session forward from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diksha, and a very warm good morning to everyone present here. It's day 2 of the Odisha Literary Fest and the second session of the day. Today, we weave a tapestry of thought with three fierce voices their stories brought. Neha Dikshit from Saida X's tale. She carved the real and is the scribe of truth's sharp sting. Ipshita Chakravarti, whose words resist with tales from a silenced land with the book The Pan. And lastly, Divya Kandukuri, who's a rebel's spirit, both fierce and bold. A very warm welcome to our women of Shakti here. Today we discuss the power of self-expression. These women who are seated right in front of me have proved their indomitable spirit with a deep yearning for a social change through their mediums, be it writing or activism. So Ipshita, let me begin with you. My question to you is, what role do you think journalists play in lending voice to the voiceless, and how do you ensure that you are amplifying their stories without misinterpreting them? I mean, in your book, The Pan, you have recorded these tales of the Kashmiri civilians. So how do you think that you are not misappropriating them? Could you tell us something about the process?
We keep talking about the voiceless, but, I'm not sure, people are voiceless really. I think we in the news producing capitals just choose not to hear them. Either we choose not to hear them or we can't. And so I think, as journalists, it is very important to record these voices that are not easily heard. But also, one has to be very particular about, I'm a listener. When I go to report in these places, I'm a listener. I'm not giving them my voice. I'm just creating a space for their stories through my writing. When I was working for Scroll, I reported a lot on from states of Northeast India, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, and also Jammu and Kashmir. And these are all places with their own complex history and politics, and I won't get into that here. But I think, in the national media, which is largely centered in Delhi, we tend to think of these places as border regions, as places on the margins. But people in these places don't think of themselves as the border.
All right.
They are the center, and it's a completely different world view. And it seems blindingly obvious, but I think that's something that I've truly, fully realized when I started reporting in these regions.
Thank you. That was quite beautiful when you said that these people aren't really voices. They have their own original voices. It's just, it takes someone or a fire or, a push perhaps for them to amplify it. And I think that you are doing a wonderful job. Neha, what about you? How do you do it? How do you involve yourself in the process of giving them a voice, if I'm using the correct word, giving them or lending them? What do you think about it?
Thank you for that, and I'm very happy to be here on this panel with everyone. I think I agree with Ipshita because, like she said, the voices, everyone has a voice. Like every living thing, living being has a voice, except that we, for particular reasons, agendas, or ignorance, or our dismissive attitude, or the power that we have to dismiss some voices and listen to the rest. I think it all depends on that. And which is why in the times that we live in, when there are all these intersections of caste, class, gender, geographies, ethnicities, races, where because of certain communities having more power over the others, certain regions are marginalized, certain people are marginalized. And with our reporting also, everyone here is, it's the New Indian Express has organized this. So many reporters are sitting here. We've learned from, we've followed their work. And journalism is essentially to be able to, like Ipshita said, to be able to listen and to be able to put them out, not really be the voice, but show a diversity of voices. And which is why, a lot of insistence initially for a lot of us who were reporters was that the best reporting is ground reporting, because there you're not bringing any, this versus that sort of opinion, but actually a diversity of voice. There's not one side to a story, there can be 5 sides to a story. And that is what our training is as journalists, and that's what we are doing, and that's what we are supposed to do.
Beautiful. Okay, Ipshita, as I think you teach writing, right? So, as a journalist and a writer and also a teacher, what differences did you find between the process of writing a book based on people's narratives and writing news reports? I mean, this is for the students who would want to know that what does it entail to become a writer and a journalist? Is there a lot of difference?
I think when you are, writing as a journalist, you have to follow, as Neha pointed out, you have to get different voices and also follow certain, journalistic rigor, right? Like there's fact checking, there's getting all sides of the story. There is a certain kind of journalistic distance from your subject. You have to do that if you're going to be a credible journalist or a reporter. So this book, it is not written in a fully journalistic register, because I wasn't just recording events, but also how events were experienced and how they were narrated later. I was also recording emotions, and I was recording, trying to record the work of memory. So, for instance, there's someone I spoke to. He seemed to remember that he had been in a cinema hall in Srinagar in 88 or 89, and he was watching Jaws 2, and there was a bomb blast. And I'm not sure Jaws 2 was playing at cinemas at that time, because I think it came out a few years earlier. And I thought, should I correct this or should I remove it? And then I thought, okay, no, let it be. I'll maybe add a caveat that this is how he remembers it. But, if he associates the start of the armed conflict with this terrifying movie about a, shark that preys on humans, so be it. I think it says something important about how he experienced the conflict.
Amazing. Very true. It's quite important to, was it difficult for you to record these memories? As in, this is kind of what they are making out of their memories, even their oral folk storytelling, their songs, the way they have, shared their stories with you. So have you ever questioned the authenticity of it?
You mean the authenticity of me writing about it?
No. What they have said about it.
Oh. No, I don't think so. I think that this is the work of memory, that this, not all of this can be fact-checked in that way, but I think there is a certain emotional truth in all the stories.
Yes, absolutely. Neha, you too are an established journalist and an author. In fact,
I don't know about established. We are all struggling.
We journalists are struggling, yes, of course. But then established is the word I would use right now. You were given the prestigious CPJ International Press Freedom Award. So, looking back at your trajectory from exposing trafficking networks to documenting caste and communal violence, so how has your approach to chronicling this marginalized lives evolved? These are so many incidents and so many events. Can you please tell us something about it?
So I'll start with what you asked, Ipshita. Basically, I really had a lot of fun writing the book, because I realized in all my reporting years, even though I have thought that, I'm just so committed to this, I really want to report it, I realized that a lot of my reporting itself was very episodic in nature. So the fact that, at a time when there were Muzaffarnagar riots in 2013 in North India, I'd written about these certain women who had faced sexual violence, and I reported about it. But once they came back home after filing cases in the court, they had to work in the fields of the same people who had inflicted that violence. So I realized that even I was reporting around a certain episode in the lives of these women. These women are essentially farm workers. So while working on this book, it almost took 9 years, not because I was very rigorous, but also because of my indiscipline a little bit, and I could have met some deadlines, which I didn't. But at the same time, I realized that Saida, so my book is essentially about Saida, who's a worker in Delhi, and she was a weaver in Banaras, and after the demolition of the Babri Masjid, her loom was burnt down, and that's when she had to move to Delhi. And in the next 30 years, she did 50 jobs, and in those 50 jobs, she never managed to make more than 1/5 of the daily wage. And these jobs included making helmet parts, making cycle brake wires, making hardware, cleaning almonds, packaging stationery, every possible thing that you can think of. And of course, I am interested in writing about all these things which have a socio-economic sort of layer to it. But what I really enjoyed while doing the book was for the fact that, like at one point, all the workers stay in a place in Purani Delhi, and it is actually an electronics market, but it was originally Begum Samru's palace, and Begum Samru was the ruler. She was one of the first Catholic rulers, and she owned this place. And how all the workers started talking about how at night they used to see Begum Samru's ghost in all these jewels and coming in a white robe and stuff. I can never write that in a news report. Or the fact that Saida's daughter Reshma, who starts working in a mall, she says that, okay, the third floor is always very cold and air conditioned, but that's because there's a female jinn, a jinnari, who lives there, and jinns prefer to be in a cold climate. And so Priya lives there. And that's why I go there, because if you stay in air conditioned enough, you get a fairer skin tone and all of those. Of course, you can't ever write these things in our news stories. All the editors sitting here would have struck it down. So that is the fun part. But also the other bit about, oral histories and the bit about documentation or the bit about verification. The fact that I also realized that any kind of documentation about people's lives depends on the kind of social position they have. It depends on their class, it depends on their caste, it depends on their gender. So some of the lives are absolutely not documented, or what happened to them. So which means if Saida is telling me that her son was picked up by the police and detained for 2 days for questioning, there is no police diary which can verify that, right? Often. And that's why the role of oral histories is absolutely very important for people who do not come from privileged communities. And so to fact check that and to find out ways to verify whatever they faced, that comes in from the fact that one has to be very sure and be aware of the fact that certain people have the privilege, so their lives get documented and certain lives do not get documented.
Absolutely. So, over the years, your investigative journalism has faced both praise and pushback. So, amidst all of this tumultuous situation, how do you stay true to your voice? I mean, of course, there are positive aspects, but there are negative aspects as well. But how do you stand to your ground and say, I'm going to continue doing this? This is what is my prowess. I'm good at it. So let me be the voice for these people. So how do you also stay true to your own voice, given all of these pushbacks amidst, adverse situations, if I may say?
So I want to say that I don't have a profound answer for it, except that the fact that, I wish I had any other skills. I wish I could do corporate communication. I wish I could write better things and get paid better. But I have no other skills but to do this. But I also want to say that the kind of stories all of us are doing, and we're not necessarily brave. Our training is that the stories that one has done in the last 18 years, earlier one would never think that if I'm doing a story on mining, which party is in power? Or if I'm doing a story on clinical trials or human trafficking or police encounters, none of us ever thought of being aware of which political party is in power, because this is what our job is as journalists. Journalists are anti-establishment. No, otherwise you're not a journalist, right? So this is what we have done, and this is what I know to do. I wish I had other skills and I could buy better things, but no, I don't have that.
Power to us all. So, Divya, you are a writer yourself and an Ambedkarite activist. So, how have you tried to disseminate your voice using the digital medium to chronicle the marginalized lives? And if I may ask, can you tell our audience how it all began and maybe what does it mean to be an Ambedkarite?
Thank you for the question. I think I'd like to begin by, talking a bit about why there is a need for looking for alternative forms of self-expression or expression in itself, because my training was as a student in journalism. The career lasted very briefly because of the facts that I'm going to talk about. I'll just read about this report released by Oxfam India in collaboration with News Laundry. So these reports have been released in two different timelines. The first one is from 2019. So some of the highlights of the report, it's basically the report is about who tells our stories and the representation of caste-oppressed communities in the newsrooms.
All right.
So one of the key highlights is, I'll just read it out. Of the 121 newsroom leadership positions, 106 are occupied by journalists from the upper caste and none by those belonging to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. This is from 2019, and they redid the same study in 2024. To my surprise, nothing, I was not surprised, but nothing has changed over the 5 years. So the new figures are of 218 surveyed leadership positions across print, TV, and digital media outlets. 191 positions are occupied by people from general category, and none of the mainstream media houses had people belonging to SC or ST categories in leadership roles. So nothing has basically changed over these years, and that stays true for Indian newsroom landscape, right? So, and I think that also led to so many people from caste-oppressed communities to rethink about building our own media. And I think, as you asked, being an Ambedkarite also means that you have to do movement building, because again, it's not that people have not been talking about their own stories, especially this whole idea of our subalterns speaking, but subalterns have always been screaming and writing their stories, documenting their lives, and have always constantly been talking about their issues. It's just that the mainstream chooses to not look at it, right? And I think this is what, given the, rise of Ambedkarite media in itself, using digital media platforms is because of this, because there's no space in newsrooms that are mainstream in India today. So for me, that was the reason to start using, quitting mainstream media platforms and started to use social media platform to talk about the issues that matter to my community. Also to discern the fact that it's not that our lives are invisible. It's not that we are not talking. It's not that we are voiceless. I have never found any community more articulate than the Ambedkarite movement and its community today in India, constantly articulating the issues that apply to everyone in the country, right? When we talk about social justice, and Ambedkarites have been articulating this issue as a world that needs to be prejudice-free of all kinds of injustices, be it caste, gender, or sexuality, right? Yeah, and I think the only place to do that was possible because of these alternative forms of media as well.
All right. So you're also founder of a mental health collective, the Blue Dawn. So how do you address the systemic trauma that is caused by this caste and gender-based discrimination?
Thank you for asking that question. For me, I think this is our 7th year working with the Blue Dawn. It started as a collective, as a support group to support students at central universities who are going through marginalization and institutional casteism. But now it turned into a space where we are articulating what mental health means for people coming from oppressed communities, and also the fact that mental health issues are not individualistic in nature, especially for women, queer people, people coming from marginalized communities, their mental health issues are the issues lies in the structural inequalities that exist in this country. And one of the main things that mental health landscape does not, or even media landscape does not acknowledge, is that the social fabric of this country is based on the foundations of caste system. Casteism or misogyny are just one of the distinct features of the system that we are part of. Patriarchy and caste systems are the structures that we have somehow made all of our lives, adapted to that system. So it becomes so important for us to articulate mental health not from an individualistic lens in a way that, there is something wrong with this person's mind, this person is depressed. If there is a suicide that happens in the country and if that student is coming from SC, ST or OBC community, there would be no headlines about why it is a caste-based issue, but rather the headlines would be about helplines for suicide prevention, why talking about depression is important. But we also witnessed as a country during pandemic when one such celebrity death happened and that person comes from a specific upper caste community, and the whole nation paraded how nepotism is the cause of the death. That means we as a society understand that mental health is a structural issue, but we just do not want to acknowledge that when it comes to a person from actual oppressed community, right? So for Blue Dawn, it was really important for us to articulate this in this space. And also since I work both in the development space as well as the media space, for me it became easier to make this a mainstream discourse in the country, to talk about mental health from a more structured issue and looking at it as a social justice problem. Yeah.
What a way to go ahead with such discursive practices. I think there is an imminent need to change the discourse, and thank you, Divya, for doing that. Also, would you like to share with our audience what experiences in life shaped your writings and your activism? So what could be your message to the younger generation here who also see themselves to become a harbinger of social justice like you?
I don't know if I'm a harbinger or not. That's a big word, but one of the things that really struck me when in my last 7 years of work with Blue Dawn and otherwise is that when the Bihar caste census and when Telangana caste census came out, the majority, it's now in data, right? This has been being told, but now that there is a data that proves that 85% of this population of these two states comprises of people coming from SC, ST, OBC communities, makes it easy for us to articulate the need for having spaces where our stories are told by ourselves. I really, really believe that it's high time media spaces or development spaces acknowledge that this is the majority population of the country. They have been pushed to the margins, but they are never at the margins, right?
Yes.
How come 85% of the population is at the margins? They're at the center of this country and they have been articulating their issues. So I think as a young woman myself, for me, it really had to have this data come out and and I'm sure when we get, hopefully, caste census in the country, it makes it easier for us to see for what is and question where the leadership positions and who occupies these leadership positions, who are the people that are telling our stories and what it means for us to tell our own stories and not told by others. I think that would become easier. So for me, I'd just end it by saying that, again, as an Ambedkarite, one thing that Dr. Ambedkar says, which is agitate and organize, I really, really believe in that because it's so simple. It's 3 words, and it's really easy to actually follow it as a principle and incorporate it as a practice. And also, as James Baldwin says, this world is held together by people who love, and the love of these people has been at the center of making social change possible. So Yeah, I think I'd like to end at the note that we need to really incorporate love as practice in our all of our work that we've been doing.
Absolutely. Kindness, humility, and love. So, Ipshita, your book, The Pan, was recently released. And can you tell us something, a little bit about the title and read some excerpt from your book?
Okay. So the pan means it is said. Kind of the translation, the word. It's a Kashmiri word. Now I don't speak much Kashmiri, but every time I went to report in Kashmir, I kept catching this one word in conversations in different contexts. And I remember it was August 2019, and the sort of Article 370 decisions had just been announced. And Kashmir was under complete lockdown and communications blackout. And this Kashmiri journalist and we were at the Srinagar airport, and we were trying to get to North Kashmir. Now, we weren't sure if we would make it because, we weren't sure how we'd get there. There were all these stories and rumors flying around. We weren't sure if there was a curfew. And then I heard someone start a sentence with Dapan. And I don't remember what exactly he said, but maybe that the main highway was open, or maybe there was a curfew, I don't remember. But it struck me that a lot of stories about the conflict start with the word Dapan. And so do a lot of folk tales and epic tales told in Kashmir. And so, the conflict is Dapan is kind of a word through which Kashmiris turn the conflict into another story. And there's great power in that. If I could read a bit from my book where
Absolutely.
I explain
Please go ahead.
Dapan.
Yes.
Folk tales in Kashmir usually start with the word Dapan. It is said a jinn once turned itself into a 7-legged beast that could not be killed, because if its blood fell to the ground, new jinns would sprout from each drop. It is said the serpent prince turned himself human to be with the princess of the earthly realm. It is said you must not answer the call of women whose feet are turned backwards. These are stories of counsel, how to act or not to act when faced with the world. Oral histories in Kashmir, telling the story of an event, an individual or society in the distant past, also begin with Dapan. The word makes a story sound authentic, even as it folds in myth with historical memory. Don't take it from me, the storyteller suggests. These are not my observations. This is what countless others have said before me. Therefore, it must be the truth. There are advantages to the word Dapan, says an elderly history writer in Srinagar, because the storyteller refuses to take responsibility. It is wise to put in caveats when talking about the halat, because one word here or there could be the difference between life and death. It is said, there is a curfew, so don't go out today. It is said, soldiers stormed the village last night and took away all the boys they could find. It is said, the taps of Srinagar are running with poisoned water. Drink at your own peril. Stories of the halat are part fact, part rumor, part fever dream. That does not mean they cannot be true.
Thank you. Such a wonderful and lovely poetic flair it has to it. Neha, I would also request you to read out something. But before that, I'm quite curious. The lives of Saida X. What does X mean in the book's title?
X stands for any woman who lives like Saida. And I have to say that in India, most of the women are employed in the agricultural sector. But after agricultural sector, most women work as home-based workers, which is essentially in popular parlance known as piece rate workers. So every possible thing that we use, the notepad that I have here, the coasters, the mic, the wires, everything is made per piece and then assembled. And it's the women who do that. That's why it's Saida X. I'll read a bit, just a couple of lines about Saida's work. And at one point, Saida, when she moved from Banaras to Delhi, she started living in Karaval Nagar, which is northeast Delhi. This is from chapter 4, Doorknob. एक और आ गई आकाश नापने. One more has arrived to measure the sky. One more woman has come to measure the immeasurable. When Saida moved to Karaval Nagar, Roopmati said this about her. A few years later, Saida repeated this for Seema, who then said the same for Khushbu. No one remembers the source of this adage, but it continues to be said for every new migrant woman who joins the workforce in Karaval Nagar. Astronomers measure the sky in degrees, minutes, and seconds to confirm if a star has moved closer to the moon. The women workers of Karaval Nagar count the pieces, the kilos, the dozens of things they prepare to measure how close they are to survival. Things that are necessary for a common person's survival: food, snacks, spices, cosmetics, hardware, stationery, garments, automobile parts, kitchen appliances, toys, plumbing material, building material, devotional items, festival goodies. Everything is made and packaged here by women on a per-piece basis. Over the next few months, Saida made wooden, metal, and plastic photo frames and was paid rupees 70 for 144 pieces. She then made door hangings, bouquet of plastic flowers, decorative pieces for rupees 60 for 144 pieces. She picked up thread and needlework, was paid rupees 5 per piece, and motifs on garments for rupees 30 per 144 pieces. She finished and packaged school bags for rupees 60 for 144 pieces, and there are many other things that she did. No one knew who decided these abysmal rates for working on these products, but there was no option but to do it. If you didn't, there would be many others who would. Over time, Saida put together a toolbox which she fondly called her Jaduka Pitara. Reshma, her daughter, later started referring to it as her CV, the only comprehensive testament to the variety of jobs she had done for years. It was an iron trunk as big as a coffee table, her constant companion. It contained pliers, screwdrivers, wrenches in all sizes and stuff.
Thank you so much. Since we are running out of time, Divya, would you like to also quickly read something?
Yeah, sure. Before I read, I just want to tell the audience that the importance of, again, having our own media is also because if you just pick up your phones and do 2 Google search image searches, it tells why, if anyone wants to, you can pick up your phone and do an image search of what kind of images does the Google show you when you type the word Brahmin women versus what kind of images does the Google show to you when you type the word Dalit women. It's a really interesting social experiment to look at because the moment you put Brahmin women in the Google search images, you'll see women wearing Kanjivaram silk saris with gold, lot of gold, mostly bridal look or portfolios from matrimonial sites versus when you type Dalit women, you would see photos from certain NGO reports or news articles or women in groups existing. So it's really interesting to see how even our algorithm keeps narrating the stories or a narrative that is so dominant in this country about certain communities. And I feel as a woman who comes from a certain social location, I feel we are just existing and are being and laughing and doing our own work. And it's not just about struggle all the time. So I had written this comic strip for Kadak Collective's anthology called Bystander Anthology. It's called Selavu. It tells the story of a young girl from southern rural South India who goes to Delhi University to study. So in that comic, I've used the poem of the comic is set around this poem of a Telugu Dalit poet activist named Kalikuri Prasad. So I'd like to read some lines from that poem because I think it suits the panel as well. I am the wound of multitudes, the multitude of wounds. For generations, an unfree individual in a free country, having seen the target of humiliations, atrocities, having been the target of humiliations, atrocities, and torture, I'm someone raising his head for a fistful of self-respect in this nation of casteist bigots, blinded by wealth. I'm someone who lives to register life as a protest.
Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of the session. A round of applause to these women who vow never to silence themselves. And this is the message of this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Indeed, a very engaging session. I'll now request CEO Ms. Lakshmi Menon to please join on stage and do the honors and felicitate the lovely women on stage. Bebak Awaze. And we are honored to have such a wonderful panel in our session today. Just to inform our audience, we are ending day 2 with a contest. It's going to be very exciting, so I'm expecting all of you to be there with us till the end. Just a minute is the contest, but we'll let you know more about it as the day progresses. And a lovely group photograph. The photographer won't let you come down till he has the best capture. A big round of applause for these beautiful ladies on stage. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll quickly move to our next session because this brings us back home to Odisha to celebrate the revival of originality and craft in Odia cinema. For this session, we have with us Director Mr. Jagdish Mishra, filmmaker Dr. Sabyasachi Mahapatra, Director Mr. Anupam Patnaik, with moderator and filmmaker Mr. Sushant Mishra. And the session is Real Renaissance, Return of Originality and Craft to Odia cinema. As we set the stage, let me take this opportunity to introduce each one of them. Ei session re amara Odia cinema jagatar mu bhabuchi dui generation ro digata nirdeshaka ebong filmmakers achanti to tanko pai tige jordar karatali haba dakar. As I invite them onto the stage, Mr. Jagdish Mishra is an Odia filmmaker whose cult web series Gangs of Puri and the record-breaking feature film Bo Buttu Bhutto have redefined Odia cinema. His films blending tradition with modern storytelling have set new benchmarks, with Bo Buttu Bhutto becoming the highest grossing Odia film of all time. Tarita Hotuba Dakkar, Dr. Sabyasachi Mahapatra is one of Odisha's most influential filmmakers with over 40 national and international awards. He created history by winning national awards 3 years in a row with Adimo Vichar, Pahadara Luho, Au Sola Budhara Badla. His films, deeply rooted in Odisha's culture, blend lyrical storytelling with social commentary. Mr. Anupam Patnaik, a national award-winning filmmaker, carries forward the legacy of Amiya Patnaik Productions. His film include Tulasi Appa, the first Odia film on Amazon Prime, ladies and gentlemen, Pratiksha, which won a national award and is now being made in Hindi. His web series, Gangs of Puri, is a cultural phenomenon, and his upcoming Ravan continues his mission of telling rooted yet universal stories. Mr. Sushant Mishra, the moderator, is a pioneering Odia filmmaker, a graduate of FTI Pune. His works include Indradhanu Rachai, Biswa Prakash, and Joseph, Born in Grace. His films have won national award and screened at Cannes and other global festival. He's also the co-founder of the iconic Bring Your Own Film Festival in Puri. So I'll request Mr. Mishra to take this session forward from here. But once again, a big round of applause for our panel here on stage.
Namaskar to all of you. A very good morning. Today's topic is Real Renaissance, Return of Originality and Craft to Odia cinema. So we have as panelists here Mr. Sabyasachi Mahapatra, eminent filmmaker for the last 4 decades, Mr. Anupam Patnaik, and Mr. Jagdish Mishra, the new age filmmakers of today. Now, getting into the topic, the whole relevance because Odia cinema is already 90 years old. It started with Sita Vibah in 1936. Odisha got formed on linguistic basis in 1936 also. So earlier in the day, we had mythologicals, then moved to socials. And in the 60s, a lot of literature was adapted into films. And all over India, 60s saw great films made from everywhere, from Kerala, from the Hindi industry, the Bollywood that you call today, and elsewhere, Bengal. Then gradually, somewhere in the 70s, due to some technological shifts, I think there was a deviation, and then it still continued. But as far as the language cinema is concerned, Odia cinema is concerned, because it's a very, very small industry compared to other states, we saw the contents were not very original. The producers wanted to play it safe, borrowed ideas from neighboring states like Telugu cinema, even Bollywood cinema. Hindi cinema was widely seen in this place, so the Odia cinema to compete financially with the Hindi cinema was also a problem. But now we are seeing with these new age directors that people are returning back to theaters. And we really do not know why they are returning back to theaters, whether it's content driven or it's a new style of filmmaking, although it's become digital now. So we have experts here, practicing filmmakers. So I'd like to bring in Mr. Sabyasachi Mahapatra, who's been working for 4 decades. He's worked in celluloid also. He started his, he made his first film in 1985, and which was called Sabu Maya Rebaya. That was in celluloid. So he's seen the entire process for the last 40 years, knowing the history as well. So I would like to ask Mr. Mahapatra, that he's been making films even today, and very, very relevant film. He's been what we call language cinema. He's been making films in Odia as well as the dialect Sambalpuri. I don't know why this divide is there, but it's he's been lately making beautiful films adapted from his father's books. So my question is, how relevant is this topic, real Renasa, return of originality? How relevant is it today, and the craft of making films in Odia cinema?
Renaissance in the craft is okay, but Renaissance in filmmaking, I don't accept it. Because although filmmaker has started different type of films, mostly commercial films, but still then, some filmmakers were still doing original contents. Like me, I have never done, although I have made commercial films, all those commercial films I have made, all were super hits. But still, I wanted to make the film on original content. And you must have seen my filmography. Mostly all films are made from literature, drama. And we are just mentioning about Sambalpuri cinema. Because when I choose a subject in the year 1985, it was from a drama from the great writer Mangalucharan Biswa. And I thought that the original language will suit the subject. And artist can relate very well. So I made the film on Sambalpuri language. And I'm happy that it was probably the first film in my career which got international award in Spain and France at that time. International awards were very rare at that time. So it was a turning point in my life. Although I made Jai Jagannath in 15 languages, including Hindi, but still I get satisfaction in making original content and mostly from literature. Since 40 years I'm making like that. And my last film also, Ananta, based on the great story writer. In fact, he is the first story writer of Odisha, Vyasakavi Fakir Mohan Senapati. Based on his story, I made the film Ananta, Randipo Ananta. And I'm very happy that the film did wonders in box office as well as appreciated for its content, original content. So I think now the time has come. The Renaissance has already entered, and now every filmmaker are trying to make original contents, and it's a good sign for Odia cinema, for which we are fighting for decades. In fact, I have told in many interviews that when the original content, films will be made out of Oriya novels, drama and literature, then the golden era will return. And I am very much hopeful that we are in the doorstep of the golden era of Oriya cinema.
One more question. You worked on celluloid, and now is the digital age. As far as craft is concerned, how you have managed to negotiate with the change in technology?
You have to learn all the time. And the profession we have adopted, it is full of learning, full of struggle, and full of frustration. But because we're intoxicated people, so we enjoy film making, whatever it may be. कुछ नशा रहता है, करते हैं. Or you have to adapt the modern technology. So you have to learn all the time. And still, I am learning, I am trying to adapt. And to my good fortune, all my brothers are top technicians of Hindi cinema and Bollywood, including my son. So in my last film, he was also the co-director with me, Kumar Cholagangadev. And he is the greatest support for me to adapt the modern technology, digital technology. So all the time I am learning, still learning, and I enjoy learning.
My next question to Mr. Patnaik. Your late father was a very prominent film personality here. He produced a lot of films. In fact, he had got a national award for Hakim Babu way back in 1985. You followed his footsteps. You produced Tulsi Appa. Then you've been making films constantly. Your Pratiksha made waves. It got a national award, was in the Panorama, and did very well with the audience. And now, right now, you're coming back from the sets of a new film. So when you're thinking of your subject today, because I would also term you as a new age filmmaker from Odisha, a pathfinder in fact, how do you, what inspires you to choose a subject, and how do you think that that particular subject can resonate with the audience? And this is one. And the second one is how you handle your craft, filmmaking craft. These are the two.
Kindly ignore my face And if I say something stupid, because I've been shooting for the last 20 days and haven't slept for the last 15, 16 days. I just came here from Aska. So if you find my words wise, then that's the effort I'm doing for the film. And if you find my words stupid, then please ignore. And just think that I'm doing very hard, I'm working very hard for the films. But jokes apart, I think I was inspired from my father from the very beginning. And Hakim Babu had been one of my favorite films. And not just Hakim Babu, I would like to say I've seen films of yours like Indradhanu Rachai and Sola Buddha. So all these films, the most important thing is it is completely rooted, and it is something the subject, young people relate to it. The stories have to be very relatable. So when I came across Pratikya, and when I got to know about the short story, and while writing it and while the pre-production, so the unemployment problem and the relationship between the father and son, so that is something which everyone relates to. And I believe that if we make something, whether it is adapted from literature, or if it is an original story, or if it is anything which can be very relatable and which connects to the audience and which is rooted, that will definitely work. Because I don't know, maybe I did Karma last year, starring Anubhav Mohanty. I got, it was a blockbuster. And I did Pratiksha as well. Pratiksha was derived from literature. It couldn't do that business what Karma did, but still it connected with everyone. And I believe whether if it is, whether you want to do it as a commercial film or a parallel film or artsy film, it has to connect to the audience. So all the films which we do, whether it is Pratiksha or Karma or the web series which we had done, Gangs of Puri, so everything has a very relatable factor. So everybody connects to the story and connects to the film or the series. So that is one reason I think people are now getting attracted to cinema. I believe somewhere, like you told, somewhere in between, I don't know, maybe in early 2000 or late 90s, somewhere we got lost. Copying, not copying exactly, remaking, getting inspired from our neighboring states. But that has gradually come down. All thanks to the internet now, people can actually, make it like where you have copied what scene from or whatever. So that makes us filmmakers, we have to be very confident on our craft, and we have to make sure that we stick to original stories, rooted stories. We stick to our culture, our language, our literature, because that is only way where we can make some noise in the international or national market. Because now I don't think imitation is something which we should go for. Rather, we should go for imagination. That's very important.
Very well. One question is that when you conceive a subject or do you think of the audience first, or you think of the inspiration first and make a film and hope for that the audience can connect to it? That is one. And second is with all these multiplexes, because in the earlier days we had direct theaters, and now about 50 or 60 are surviving. So a few multiplexes have come where your films are getting released. What is the box office? I have no idea about the Odia box office and the kind of investment you do in films. Do you get back those returns, or what is your path, the safety path? Because to be a filmmaker working constantly, somewhere your money has to come back and you have to move on. So the idea is primary, or the audience is taken into consideration. That is one. And second is the box office. Because the Odia industry, as I know, that Once I was going through this whole survey in Bombay, that when a Hindi film releases in India, the market in Odisha is only 2% out of 100. So 98% is elsewhere. And lately, because of the international sales in China and other places, the Indian market is 40%, the overseas market is 60%, and that 40% in India, if that becomes 100, Odisha market is 2%. So we have a very, very small regional market, and we are making films in our language, staying true to our originality. So it's a very tight rope, that you're walking, how to recover your money so that you make your next film. So the question is that what is the box office and what kind of investment, how do you think of planning a film? That is the question.
The first question, whether I think of the audience first or first I think of the concept. See, I have experimented with a lot of different genres and different films. So initially when I did Tulsi Appa, that time I just got inspired by her story. And then that point of time, that was in 2015. So what I learned from that film was it was a box office disaster. Because that was something which I hadn't thought about the audience. I just thought that I have to make a good film. And technically it has to be good. The storytelling, everything has to be proper. And it was the first biopic in Odisha. It got critically acclaimed, it got awards and everything, but commercially it didn't work. So after that, I had to think of something which might work commercially, because we have to keep it running. If we do one for the kitchen, then we have to do one for the soul. So there has to be a proper balance in that. That's what I believe. So I experimented with Pratiksha Karma, I got the results. So in some films, content matters. In some films, content along with a known face where a superstar matters, just for the initial push in the theaters. So it has to be a mix of both. And coming to your second question, I think box office here in Odisha, it's a very tricky situation. Like, I can't say that we can get our entire money because, see, here in Odisha, nowadays, the films which are being made, I think, start from, 50-60 lakhs to it goes up till to 2.5, 3 CR. And we just have 50-60 multiplexes or theaters here in Odisha. But yes, we have Odia people who reside outside Odisha, like major places in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. So last year, when we released Karma, we released it at a lot of multiplexes. We saw a lot of flow of Odia people who came. And I thought that is one way where, we could understand the market outside Odisha. And recently, I think Bo Bhutta Bhutta and Ananta as well, these films have also done very well. And everywhere outside Odisha, the films have also worked and got good box office results. But again, we are limiting ourselves only to Odisha and Odia people outside Odisha. So we are not reachable to the other language people. Like, for example, I'll say one example. I recently saw a film, Su from So. It's a Kannada film. And it was made on a shoestring budget, I think around 2.53 CR. But that film has now grossed, I don't know, maybe 70-80 CR. So we, sitting here in Bhubaneswar, are going to Cinepolis and watching the film in Kannada. Not just Su from So. So many Malayalam films, Kannada films, and other languages films are releasing, and we are watching it. And they are doing magnificent business. Recently, superhero film has come from Malayalam industry, I think Loka or something. That has now crossed 150 CR. So I think the market has now opened, and we should think of proper marketing. That's very important. We can't just make a film and sit and just think that this will work. We have to market that film, not just in Odisha, but outside Odisha. And as you spoke, like China or outside India. So we have to achieve that technical brilliance, because other films which people will be watching outside Odisha, sorry, outside India. We have to match up to that quality. I mean, we can't match up to the exact quality which they are making, but at least content-wise, it has to be quite strong. So I believe this thing is gradually growing. I mean, last few years, films are coming. I mean, films are being marketed properly, and I would suggest all the makers now to market your films properly. And that is also something which is very tricky, because now I'm shooting a film and it's not based on any literature. It's completely fantasy-based film. Uh, at the same time, while I'm making the film, I have to think about the marketing as well. So this is something which is very tricky, because while I'm thinking for marketing, I have to stop thinking about the making. When I'm making the film, I have to start thinking about the marketing. So yeah, it has to be a perfect balance actually. That's what I believe.
Jagdish Babu.
Now, Sushanta,
Yeah.
one good thing is now marketing opening up. Previously, we were not thinking of releasing all India. Now, we are thinking of releasing all India, India-wide release. And it is happening. It has happened with Jagdish Mishra's film, Bohu to Bhuta, with my film, with Tom's film. So simultaneously, we are releasing in Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, Delhi.
No, my question was also,
so-
just to know, for the audience also, it's very important that, as you said, that a film takes about 60, 70 lakhs or 1 to 2 CR, to make. What is the box office? I mean, suppose somebody spends, believes in a subject and does it well and spends around 3 CR. What is the box office? I mean, suppose it, it resonates with the audience. What kind of return can he expect?
See, I'll give you one example. See, if your film is made in a budget of say 2.5 CR, and the total gross, that will be something around 8.5 CR. That's what I got for Karma. The half of the money goes to the theaters. So
Yeah.
you have now 4 CR with you. And then there are taxes.
Okay.
Then taxes
So
are also cut.
it's quite feasible if you make in that
Exactly.
range.
And he said, added another thing. as
Yeah,
well. Then there is
I'm switching over to Odia also, although he can, just that it's about Odia films. ଆପଣ ବାହାରେ ବି କାମ କରୁଥିଲେ ମୁଁ ତ କମ୍ ଇଣ୍ଟରାକ୍ସନ୍ ହେଇଛି ଆଗରୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ବମ୍ବେରେ କାମ କରୁଥିଲେ ଆଉ ଗ୍ୟାଙ୍ଗସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ପୁରୀ କରିଛନ୍ତି ତା ଛଡ଼ା ବୋଥ୍ ଅଫ୍ ୟୁ ଆଣ୍ଡ ରିସେଣ୍ଟଲି ଆମେ ଯାହା ପଢ଼ୁଛୁ ବା ଯାହା ରିପୋର୍ଟ ବୋଉ ବୁଟୁ ଭୂତ ଇଜ୍ ଏକ୍ସଟ୍ରିମଲି ସକ୍ସେସଫୁଲ୍ ଫିଲ୍ମ ୱିଥ୍ ଦ ଅଡ଼ିଏନ୍ସ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଏଇ ଆଇଡ଼ିଆଟା ମାନେ ଆପଣ ସେଠି ଥିଲେ ଏଠିକି ଆସିକରି ଏଇ ଆଇଡ଼ିଆରେ ଫିଲ୍ମଟା କେମିତି ତାର ଜର୍ଣ୍ଣିଟା କ'ଣ କେମିତି ଆପଣ ଏଇଟା ଭାବିଲେ ଆଉ କେଉଁ ପ୍ରକାର ରେସ୍ପନ୍ସ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ମିଳିଛି ଏଥିରେ
थैंक यू सर रेस्पॉन्स तो मतलब मतलब भाभी नथिलु एमती रेस्पॉन्स मिले ऑनेस्टली मतलब इट वाज नेवर सीन बिफोर काइंड ऑफ रेस्पॉन्स दैट वी गॉट मतलब आमे गोटे बाहर थिलु होल हेडेडली टू मेक ए गुड फिल्म एंड ऑफ कोर्स बैक ऑफ द माइंड रे थिला कॉमर्स बिकॉज the producer was also the biggest star, one of the biggest star in Odisha. So commerce was there always. Ki we have to make a good film. Marketing thing was sorted because of the actor and the producer. So only thing is in my mind is to make a good film. But a bhalo film koriar thila. Jaha bhi subject matter thila. Because that the idea was not mine. I was involved as a director later once the idea and everything was generated by the writer and producers the okay kale then he commissioned me the project as a director then I involved in the film and I developed as per my vision actually मतलब जो भी film जो भी story रे मु as a director join करे then I put my idea into it कि how can I make this to to best of my ability in the limited resource I have. Mobile jaha etiki resource achi, etiki budget achi, etiki dino achi and everything, and ei story ta ku best way re mu kemiti banai paribi. So that was in my mind. So we went on and tried to make the best out of it, and whatever outcome came, and the people of Odisha loved it, and the rest is history now. And yeah, but one thing that actually came out of it, that if you make a, like last year also Anupam did that, because that was also when Karma was a box office blockbuster. That was that was also unbelievable for many of us, because crossing certain 3 to 4, even crossing 1 to 2 crore in box office for an ODI film is difficult. Post-pandemic era I'm talking about. But then Anupam did that. Then box office opened. Then Bobutu Butta did that. Before that, Daman did that. So Sar's films also did really well in the box office. So in fact, in simultaneous, if you see Bobutu Butta, Ananta, then 2 weeks later, Sri Jai Jagannath, Nabokadwara film came. Collectively, they have grossed almost 27, 28, almost 30 if you can say, almost near about 30 crores. And you say there is no box office, there is no market for ODI films. Well, I think that is...
One more thing. Is there a star system? I think the directors today are the new stars in Odisha, because in Mumbai, in Bollywood, we see Sanjay Bansali film, he is the new star, or a Rajkumar Hirani film, commercially. So is there a star system here, or the directors have made their faces prominent, that they can draw the audience?
See, sir, the star, the director, there is a star system, of course, there is a star system in when you are putting so much of money in films, in India or in Odisha or in any state of Odisha, there is a star system, because they pull audiences. They return the money to the producers. So there is a star system, and it will go on till a point. It will go on. And coming back to the director being the crowd puller, it will be a reality in Odisha very soon. But we have to work hard for it, because 1 or 2 films won't do that. We have to constantly keep reinventing us, constantly make original film, constantly prove ourselves in box office. Then only we can be a crowd player for our name. And that is not the goal, honestly. The goal is to make good films. Original story, I agree, that is one of the main ingredients for a good film. But in filmmaking, story is only one thing. There are so many different aspects to it where you can make an original film. Because it's such a complicated storytelling narrative, because if you write a good story but you put wrong music to it, you make a blunder out of it.
Okay, now we have very little time. Just to wind up, we're just 5 minutes more.
One more thing I will tell. Commercial is a part, film making is a part, किंतु मु सबुबले विश्वास करे जे ओडिया चलचित्र रे ओडिया संस्कृति रो झलक रहिबा दरकार.
Yeah, that's exactly what
ओडिया माटी रो वासना रहिबा दरकार.
Actually, what we have
Let it be a commercial film or a so-called good film.
What actually, it's a very interesting topic, that real Renaissance that we call, but whether it's a Renaissance or not, we don't know. People have definitely worked on the craft. They have tried to reach out to the audience. They have made original stories, either adapted from literature or their own stories. Those all are fine. The only thing is that we as a state, we are a very proud state. We have a classical culture. Our language is classical. Our dance is classical. We have great architecture, sculpture, paintings, everything. So we, somewhere as filmmakers, to I mean, if you really want to tell it Renasa, I mean, we have to really focus on Odia nationalism, tell our own original stories, and of course the craft is important, but give give importance to cinematic form. Actually, in Kerala or in Maharashtra also, I have seen filmmakers experimenting with cinematic forms, which young directors should come in and experiment more and yet reach the audience and make the audience cinema literate somewhere. Because film societies don't run anymore, so through their films reaching out, they have to make them cinema literate so that audience waits for what next is coming, how we, together build a cinema culture in the state. That's all I can say. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Well, can we have a big round of applause? Itte badhiya alochana ti rahila. I think very interesting discussion that happened here. And for Odia cinema, some very talented people that you are seeing from the Odia cinema world here with us. I'll request Group CEO Ms. Lakshmi Menon to please join on stage and do the honors and felicitate our speakers. आशा करुछु एमिति आउरी अनेक भल भल फिल्म्स आमको ओडिया सिनेमा जगतरू एमती सब निर्देशक आमर गहणरे रहिले देखिया को मिलिबो। आउ थरे जोरदार करताली ही जाऊ आमर सबु पैनलिस्ट को पाई। Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as we get the stage ready for the next session, I have a question for all of you. मरने और लड़ने के बीच में अगर एक को चुनना हो तो क्या करोगे आप लोग? जोर से बोलिए। एक ही जन लड़ेंगे, बाकी सब मरने वाले हैं। क्या करेंगे आप लोग? लड़ेंगे, बिल्कुल। और ये कौन सी मूवी का पॉपुलर डायलॉग है? Yes, you got it right. Dhadak 2. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session from Odisha's screens, we now move to Mumbai's and to two creators who have ensured that our hearts literally dhadak for their work, beat for their work. We have director Ms. Shazia Iqbal and writer Mr. Rahul Badwelkar, along with our moderator, senior journalist Ms. Kaveri Bamzai for our next session, Finding One's Voice, Cutting Through the Clutter. And as we get the stage ready, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce each one of them. Ms. Shazia Iqbal is a Mumbai-based writer, director, whose debut feature, Dhadak 2, is being hailed as a landmark in Hindi cinema for boldly addressing caste and Dalit politics. एक बार जोरदार तालियां हो जाए उसके लिए. Her short film, Bebak, won Best Debut Director at the Sao Paulo International Short Film Festival and went on to become one of the most watched shorts on Hotstar. Her homecoming episode in Amazon Prime's anthology, Love Storia, was also widely acclaimed. Her scripts have been selected at prestigious labs, including Film Independence, Global Media Makers. We have also with us Mr. Rahul Badwelkar, the screenwriter of Dhadak 2, a graduate in sound recording and design from Whistling Woods. He's worked on films like Manmarziyan, Choked, and Almost Pyar with DJ Mohabbat. He co-directed the homecoming episode of Love Storia and was associate director on Sacred Games. His work represents a bold new voice in Indian cinema. And of course, the session will be moderated by Ms. Kaveri Bamzai, so I'll let her take this over with a big round of applause once again from all of you for our panel.
How many of you have watched Dhadak 2? I have. Oh, you've missed something. We'll play a little clip from it a little later, but first I want to ask both of you, Shazia especially, how do you go to Karan Johar, who's the master of Karwa Chauth and wedding sangeets, and who's, I think the cost of one song must be the total budget of your film. So how do you go to a person like him and say, I'm making this movie which has no labels, no luxury labels, no foreign locations, and it is about caste, and there's a lot of pain and trauma in it, and well, are you going to make it for me?
Actually, one of the producers at Dharma, Somen, he had approached me after
Somen
seeing
Mishra.
Yeah, Somen Mishra. He had approached me after...
Who was made famous in Rocky and Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani.
So he saw my short film Bebak, and he approached me if I have a script that I would want to pitch to the production house. So I think somewhere they were trying to, get that change. Because of course they saw Bebak and it's nothing like other Dharma films. So I'm thinking that they wanted, in fact, Somen wanted that kind of, difference in the production house, and also Karan. And that script, I pitched a script to them, they liked it, but that didn't go anywhere. But there was a film, Tamil film, Perirum Perumal, and they wanted to adapt it. And they thought I was the right person to adapt. And Karan told me in the first meeting that, we are looking at a very sensitive approach to dealing with the story, and we think you're the right person. So that's how it started. And I'm really grateful that, they could see that.
What was your meeting with Karan like?
It was funny.
I see him as this larger-than-life producer. He's everywhere. What is he like as a person?
As a regular person, and as a producer, he really loved the short film, and he spoke about it, and he said that we want to openly talk about, the caste politics in the film, and we think that you are the right voice. And they were also looking to launch new, I think, directors at the time.
Also, they didn't do a very good job of it in Dhadak, the first one.
Yeah, I think there was...
I think that's why when he called us, he said that don't shy away from saying whatever you want to say. Make the film that you want to make. Right. So that kind of empowered us to also make what we made.
Right. How did you come on board?
Rahul and I worked, actually I used to work as a production designer for almost like 15 years.
You're actually an architect.
I'm an architect who jumped from architecture.
Where did you study architect?
Mumbai.
Okay.
RCA. So Rahul and I worked on Sacred Games, and I was a production designer on the project, and Rahul was associate to Anurag Kashyap. And when I wanted to relocate the film, like when you're adapting, it's a complete reimagination of the story, right? And I wanted to base it in a Hindi heartland, and Bhopal seemed like the right place, and Rahul is from Bhopal. So we just had a conversation about it, and it felt like Rahul has this way of talking about things. Like generally when a person talks, you can know if the person is a good storyteller or not, because they're trying to arrive at telling something. And he had that bit in him, and I asked him to, co-write the film with me, because he would be better at knowing the location, the geography of the film, and it was a great
you don't
collaboration.
actually expressly state where the film is based in the film.
Yeah, we were asked to take out the specific location.
Oh, really? Oh, you were asked to take out a few other things, which we'll talk about.
But I just want to add to that, like say naming a particular state or a city, what we also saw some value in it, because it can be any city, because it's happening everywhere. It's not happening in one state or one city or one village. It's a problem that the country is dealing with right now. Right. So that's why, it kind of worked for us, because not to put constraints on this social problem, that it is a problem of one particular city or a state.
Yeah. So, we could have set the film in, say, a small city in Chhattisgarh. But would that
in Delhi, it happens everywhere.
Everywhere, that's what. That's why we wanted that kind of, approach, that it's not particularly rooted in this place. This is a, countrywide
Since she
issue.
said that you're a good storyteller.
Overselling me, yeah.
I want you to quickly, for people who've not watched it and who'll watch the clip, tell people in your words what the film is, as they say, about.
The film essentially is about a Dalit boy who is apolitical, who doesn't stand up for himself, and he goes into a law college, where the irony is, like when he becomes a lawyer, then he has to fight for people, but he doesn't want to fight for himself.
Yeah. In fact, he's almost embarrassed about his caste identity.
Yes, he's struggling with his identity.
Doesn't use his surname.
Yes. And how he overcomes that, how he meets this girl, Vidhi, and they kind of bond and they fall in love. And the story is about him coming of age and not struggling with his identity anymore, like, finding his voice, stand up for himself, and that's how his arc comes through.
Right. And you've given the woman, thank God, lot more agency than in the Tamil film. And I think that, Shazia, must have been your contribution or Rahul's?
Not really. We both are feminists. So
Good.
it's a joint decision that we didn't want. I mean, we are in 2025. I don't think we should be making films where women are on the fringe or, catering to male characters. So it was a very early on decision. Actually, when we talk about involving female characters, we think that we have to write strong female characters. But that's honestly, it takes away from the humanity of the character, because strong, weak, these are character traits in every person, right? So we wanted a human female character. So our Vidhi in the film, she is ignorant because she comes from the dominant caste.
And she comes from privilege, and she's
Privilege.
actually totally blind to it.
Yeah.
And it's a flaw. It's not a crime. It's a flaw.
Yeah, and we treated it like a flaw. We never wanted her to be like she's one Krantikari who would know, how to deal when she realizes what Nilesh is going through. So we wanted her to have more agency and have a voice without making her, quote unquote, perfect woman who will stand up for everything, because most women in our country don't have that kind of privilege, even when they come from a privileged class.
I think if we can play the clip, everyone will get the context of what is the tone of the
Exactly.
film.
Could we have the clip, please? And if we could just slightly dim the lights so that we have the full impact.
बात कर रहा हूँ नीलेश, तुम बात करने वाली थी ना अपने पापा से? पूछा शादी में क्या हुआ? नीलेश चलते सर, आप बताएंगे या मैं बताऊं? नीलेश अंदर चल के बात करते हैं। भाई साहब आप अंदर जाइए, मैं इस लड़के से बात
डरिए मत, मैं मारने नहीं आया हूँ, मैं बस अपना केस लड़ने आया हूँ। आज वकील भी मैं और जज भी मैं। आज अदालत यही लगेगी, फैसला भी यही होगा, आप ही के मोहल्ले में सबके सामने।
नीलेश अंदर चलते।
ऑर्डर ऑर्डर ऑर्डर, केस नंबर फलाना फलाना, अहिरवार वर्सेस भारद्वाज।
मैंने बोला ना पापा।
ऑब्जेक्शन माय लॉर्ड। सस्टेन्ड। तो सुनो, मैं शादी में इसलिए आया था क्योंकि मुझे बुलाया गया था। क्या स्वागत किया सर आपने, मुझे मारा, मुझे पीटा, मुझ पे मूता, शादी से निकाल बाहर किया। आपके कहने पे मैंने विधि से बात तक करना बंद कर दिया। और इतना काफी नहीं था, मुझे गुंडों से पिटवाया, मेरे ऊपर कीचड़ फेंका, मेरे बाप के कपड़े उतारे सबके सामने, और आज मुझे जान से मारने की कोशिश की। सर मैं गांव में पैदा हुआ था, वहां न सड़कें हमारी थी, न जमीन हमारी थी, न पानी हमारा था, यहां तक कि हमारी जिंदगी भी हमारी नहीं थी। जब मरने की नौबत आई तो हम जिंदा रहने के लिए शहर आ गए, सोचा सब बदल जाएगा, कुछ नहीं बदला। यहां बस सड़कें चौड़ी हैं, इमारतें ऊंची हैं, पर सोच तो छोटी है। हम भूल गए थे कि आप अपने हालात बदल सकते हो लेकिन अपनी जात नहीं। अब समझ आया कि बात पैसे की नहीं है, ताकत की है। इसीलिए मैंने पढ़ाई की, मेहनत की, कॉलेज में दाखिला लिया, लॉयर बनना था मुझे, नीलेश भी है, LLB। उड़ने लगा था मैं, पर आपने तो मुझसे मेरा आसमान ही छीन लिया। तो बताइए वकील साहब, कौन सी धारा लगाएं आप पे? नहीं, आप लोगों को लगता है कि हम लोग गंदे हैं, आप लोग साफ सुथरे हैं? गंदे तो आप लोग हैं। I rest my case. I rest my case. विधि।
नहीं पापा,
बस अब हट जाइए।
पापा नहीं, प्रकाश क्या कर रहे हैं?
प्लीज प्रकाश।
नहीं पापा, ये नहीं पापा।
प्रकाश क्या कर रहे हैं हम ये सब? मैं करूँ, छोड़। प्रकाश
पापा नहीं, पापा।
प्रकाश छोड़।
पापा नहीं।
प्रकाश बात सुन। प्रकाश फेंक इसे, छोड़ इसे।
I don't know how many times I've watched this, but it moves me to tears each time. I mean, I think the writing, the background music, the acting, everything is just so perfect. But there's so much pain, and I just wondered, how do you tap into that, Shazia? How do you tap into that pain? How do you tap into that trauma? And how do you get these young actors who get a little distracted by the glamour of the industry? We've seen both Siddhant and Tripti in very different roles as well. And you bring them and you tell them to just be these two characters, and how pure it is. By the way, this is the best film of the year, I think. And please find a way to watch it. Is it still in theaters?
It's not.
So we'll
it's
have
going
to wait
be
for-
on our streaming channel
Yeah.
by end of the month.
Good. So please do watch it. So tell me about that. Scream says it all.
Scream was actually, it's got the most talked about thing in the reviews and opinion pieces. There's some very strong opinion pieces that were written about the film. And Scream was something that, people thought, because Nilesh the boy had so much to say, all his angst. He's for the first time in the film, after going through a range of atrocities, he gets to speak up, and literally like a lawyer, which he wanted to become. And we thought when we were writing, because our film was dealing with caste and gender both, we were like, what could Vidhi say at the end that would not seem diluted and hardly have any weight? And there were a couple of lines that we had given that she kind of, shames her father that I thought you were my hero and this is what you did. And we were shooting, and then we heard Tripti say the lines, and it felt so empty. It felt like whatever she would say, so there has to be a very physical rejection of the father, saying, I didn't think you were this person. And in the first shot, when Tripti was listening to Siddhant say all those lines, because his performance was also so impactful and immersive, she started breathing heavy. And we have a monitor deck where the director, writer, DOP, we sit around the monitor to see how the scene went. And Rahul was at the monitor. And I was feeling like there is something missing. And Rahul just said, what if she just screams? Because, he saw her panting like that. And what is the best way of a woman expressing herself?
So what happens before this? The character Vidhi, she also has a monologue where she talks to her father. And in the end, when Nilesh, he gives his monologue like a lawyer, I felt at that point, words have no value now because the uncle has come up with a gun after these kids have like spoken to them. And Vidhi goes to her primitive self where there are no words. तो बहरों को सुनाने के लिए ना चिल्लाना पड़ेगा. And she screams because words have no value now. That's how the idea of Scream had come on.
Talking about Behron ko sunana padega, there was an original poem in the film. This also has a character which is loosely based or not so loosely based on Rohit Vemula, which is a remarkable act of subversion that both Shazia and Rahul have introduced into the film. And thank God nobody noticed, or if they noticed, they just let it pass. And this character, to me, is a hero, and I think to a lot of people. There was the original poem that was supposed to be heard when, I mean, the obvious happens. We know what happened to Rohit. So that you couldn't use. Tell me the story of that.
So of course the film was with Censor Board for a few months, and they had certain objections to...
For a few months, right?
For a few months, yes. So they wanted us to replace the poem, but we saw one of our contemporary directors, film director Vasan Bala. I had a word with him, and he said whenever there's a situation where you are being stopped from saying what you have to say, see it as an opportunity rather than a problem. It's an opportunity to do something better, maybe. And that's the attitude with which we went ahead. Like, we never took out anything which we were asked to. We rewrote it, we re-edited it. It meant, a writer's work gets done before the shoot. But Rahul was there during the entirety of production, post-production. He was so emotionally attached to the film. So even at the censor cut level, we were like, no, we'll rewrite it. You have a problem with this word, we can't say this word, let's find another word for it. And we kept doing the research and writing and editing, and we got in something else. So when the poem was asked to be taken out, we thought we have an opportunity. One of the best lyricists of Hindi mainstream films has been Shailendra. He was a Dalit, he was from Dalit community, and at the time he was working in the 50s and 60s, even though he was, working with some legendary filmmakers like Raj Kapoor, people didn't know he was from the community. And
he himself didn't talk about it.
He didn't talk about it. So we thought that we will find this opportunity to put his poem in place. And we wanted someone from community's words to be there when, because the original poem also was from Om Prakash Valmiki, who is this...
It was Thakur Ka Kua by
which
Om Prakash
I want you to... A little of that, and then... because I think that is a most remarkable poem. What was the objection to that?
There's not, I don't know.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It is a fact, no?
Yeah, it is.
Rahul, you want to read a little bit of that? Both. Om Prakash Valmiki's and then Shailendra's song, which you then used. So talk a little about what you finally used, Shazia.
We used a poem called Kal Hamara Hai. There's a 1959 film based on the poem. There's also a song, which is a beautiful song. Yeah. Of course, Shailendra ji wrote that as a poem first, and because he could not openly talk about identity, or he thought it was not best to, his songs would reflect that. Now, like, if you can go and revisit all of Shailendra's song, and you will see that it comes from someone who's from the marginalized community and who's unable to openly talk about his identity. And when we started seeing it like that, it's of course a revelation. And Kal Hamara Hai also says that. Kal Hamara sounds like it's a poetry for resistance, but actually it's a very, very specific poem that talks about that,
Are there many others like Shailendra who had to hide their identities?
I don't
Have
know.
you found out
we
over
had
the years?
this discussion that there could be so many in the industry that people generally don't tend to talk about.
I think Neeraj Ghaiwan was the first person to really openly talk about caste,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
I think no one did before that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there were other people who've just been erased, maybe.
Absolutely.
Rahul, Thakur Ka Kuan.
So, Thakur Ka Kuan is by Om Prakash Valmiki. चूल्हा मिट्टी का, मिट्टी तालाब की, तालाब ठाकुर का. भूख रोटी की, रोटी बाजरे की, बाजरा खेत का, खेत ठाकुर का. बैल ठाकुर का, हल ठाकुर का, हल पर मूठ पर हथेली अपनी, फसल ठाकुर की. कुआं ठाकुर का, पानी ठाकुर का, खेत खलिहान ठाकुर के, गली मोहल्ले ठाकुर के. फिर अपना क्या? गांव, शहर, देश. This is the poem we used in the film.
Which the CBFC in its wisdom didn't allow you to use, but I think, as you said, it gave you an opportunity to use Kalham.
You know, when we based our film, the original Tamil film is set in the more rural areas. And generally, when we started researching, everyone said, this happens. Because if you're in the dominant caste, people think this used to happen years ago and, gaon mein hota hai. It happens in villages. So we relocated our film to a city to show how much predominantly present and active casteism is. And not casteism, like, Divya said in the earlier session that the problem is not casteism, the problem is not misogyny, the problem is not sexism. It's caste system and patriarchy. These are the other things that are happening as a result of that. And it's so socially present and ingrained that it's present in all of us. That, we wanted to talk about that. And there were some critical responses also saying, "Arey, film mein caste bahut ho gaya." I said, film mein bahut ho gaya, zindagi mein jitna hai, you're not fighting that.
Exactly.
But film mein bahut ho gaya. So we wanted to openly use the word caste, say the word Dalit. Because in mainstream Hindi film, people are shy and I would rather, actually they're scared of saying jati, dharam, kuch bhi bolne se dar lagta hai. Ab aur bhi lagta hai. तो हमें नॉर्मलाइज करना था तो हमने थोड़ी सी एक्चुअली काफ़ी फाइट की टू गेट इट आउट देयर एंड पुट इट इन द फिल्म.
I mean, there was someone who was asking me, like she said, no, that ये अभी भी होता है क्या? And we wanted to challenge that narrative that it's not happening in cities. And there is a thing. Law college.
Of all places.
So while this conversation was happening, and we read a report about something happened in Darbhanga. A man entered medical college hostel and killed a boy from marginalized community, and because he got married to his daughter, and
That's what that guy says, no? Yes. Roti beti ka sambandh chahte
Roti beti ka sambandh. And this man is in jail now, and he said, अब मैं जेल में चैन की नींद सो पाऊंगा क्योंकि मेरे relatives अब मुझे परेशान नहीं करेंगे, just because his relatives were teasing him.
What we are up against. मतलब ये सोच है इतनी ingrained.
That's exactly what her cousin is actually doing when he also disrobes the father. It's one of the most powerful scenes I've ever seen. I think Vipin Sharma deserves all the love that he gets for that. Quickly, you want to talk a little about Vipin as well, because he's also challenging society and the norms of society, right?
Yeah, he's someone
Vipin Sharma plays Nilesh's father.
And he's a cross-dress dancer who's, so like I said that we were, tackling with different issues. Actually, filmmakers are very greedy. We feel like, and mainstream Hindi cinema reaches to 80-90% of the country. So we were like, we have a chance. I don't know if we'll get another film. Sab kuch bol do. So through the father, we wanted to say that, he's someone who has challenged, who's fought against gender norms and probably within his own community. And that's what, when we were writing the film, we didn't want it to be seen that we are saying that Nilesh standing up for himself means that he has to get more violent. Yeah. So we wanted to challenge that. That's what father says, that, fighting for yourself doesn't mean you have to be violent. It means that you have to fight for what you want to be. Of what you want to do.
And that's what he says, I fought for it.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to do. And he's very proud of it.
Yeah.
And Nilesh of course, is embarrassed about his father as well. And the Muslim principle, again, someone who's not just a Muslim, but also a Julaha.
Muslim.
So, which is again something that you bring out. This kind of distinction isn't normally seen in a Hindi film. What was why did you want that? As you said, you're very greedy. I think sab kuch bol do.
that's what very early conversation for us was that, there has been a conversation in Hollywood around representation for last 10 years or so, which thankfully has come in our industry as well. And we wanted to play with that. Actually, the female teacher is also Christian OBC, Richa Wilson. So the reason to make Ansari's character Pasmanda Muslim was also because I come from the Muslim community and I have seen casteist slurs happen in my extended family. I'm from Patna and I have seen people just casually use casteist slurs, and as a kid you don't understand it. But I don't need to see it outside that, caste in the subcontinent, the Christians practice it, the Muslims practice it, Sikh practice it. So it's a subcontinent issue. It's not just a Hinduism issue, right? And that is something we wanted to say. That's why the Jolaha principle, that, Ansari talking about it, कि मुझे तो Jolaha बोल के मारते थे. It becomes at the time that he has to empower Nilesh, that you have to fight for yourself. It became very important that we're also saying that it's a problem in the Muslim community. It's not just something that, Nilesh is.
The reason to add these characters, Ansari's character, Shekhar's character, was to make Nilesh's fight bigger.
Is the student.
Was to show that this fight is big and not limited to one particular person. That's why, and it was important to show the campus politics around it, and to show Ansari, because he's, like she said, he's a person of system who himself has gone through this.
Yeah, and he says, I'm where you were.
Yes.
When I came in.
आज जहाँ मैं खड़ा हूँ, कल को तुम खड़े हो.
अब आप पढ़िए.
So the most beautiful thing about Shailendra and Shailendra's poetry was that he somehow managed to say things about deep human emotion in the most simplest language, and he turned everyday language into poetry. So the poem that we ended up using is Kal Hamara Hai. It was written in 1950s. गम की बदली में चमकता एक सितारा है, आज अपना हो ना हो कल हमारा है, धमकी गैरों का नहीं अपना सहारा है, आज अपना हो ना हो पर कल हमारा है, गर्दिशों से हार करो बैठने वाले, तुझको खबर क्या अपने पैरों में भी है छाले, पर नहीं रुकते कि मंजिल ने पुकारा है, आज अपना हो ना हो पर कल हमारा है, ये कदम ऐसे जो सागर पाट देते हैं, ये वो धाराएं हैं जो पर्वत काट देते हैं, स्वर्ग उन हाथों ने धरती पर उतारा है, आज अपना हो ना हो पर कल हमारा है, सच है डूबा सा है दिल जब तक अंधेरा है, इस रात के उस पार लेकिन फिर सवेरा है, हर समंदर का कहीं पर तो किनारा है, आज अपना हो ना हो पर कल हमारा है.
One of the most empowering pieces of writing I've heard in a long time. Every time you say it, it moves you, right?
Yes.
I mean, although you've used it and, you must have lived with it for so long, it still moves you. That's the power of words, and that's the power of that movie. Talk a little about how you've taken the film to various students, communities, student communities, colleges, and what the reaction there has been. I think much more rewarding than the box office.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when we made the film, you decide on the tone of the film, and we wanted to make it a very massy Hindi film because we were not taking it to the festivals. Unfortunately, there is a thing that filmmakers, writers go through, that right at the start of a project, there is a bifurcation, that whether you're making a film for a festival or you're taking it to the theaters, and there's a third bifurcation now, which is OTT, which is somewhere in between a festival. So the tone is like whether you're going to put, if it's going to theater, at least for the Hindi audience, you have to put certain songs, and we are like, why not? Let's embrace the mainstream, the language of mainstream, because we are making it for the people. Both of us were very clear, we are not going to Berlin and Cannes with it. We are going to the villages with it. We are going to the small towns with it. And that's why we wanted to make it very entertaining. But when I say entertaining, it does not mean erasing things around the issue. It means engaging people more. And songs and music, it's the language that, it's our storytelling tool. the oldest form. And, we thought we'll embrace that instead of being a little shy or elitist about it and saying, no, mainstream Hindi cinema doesn't, we didn't, and both of us actually come from that milieu as well. Yeah. We've grown up seeing Hindi films. We've, I don't know how many of you all have seen Kranti Veer, where Nana Patekar, he puts blood of a Hindu person and a Muslim person and says, "Aap mujhe difference batao." Right. You tell me what. We've grown up on cinema like that. We've grown up on Shah Rukh Khan saying in Chak De that ye 70 minutes. Like what you guys saw here is a very, very mainstream taupe. It's a monologue that the hero is giving at the end. It's very melodramatic and it's very impactful like that, because melodrama doesn't need to be, oh, this is not arty enough. It doesn't have to be like that. We wanted to reach people and we wanted to use that language, and we fully embraced that and decided that that is what we, that's a language that we are going to go ahead with.
So how is it, how have people reacted to it, apart from crying?
So in the first weekend itself, of course, we did not get the opening because it's a tough film to be, even like a friend of mine was saying that even for this film to be distributed or the exhibitors getting involved, it's a huge thing. Because Hindi films don't talk about caste or gender in its mainstream, so people don't know how to react or how to sell this film. That's why we didn't get a 10 crore opening on day one, but we did get a 4 crore opening, which was a good enough thing. And we wanted to...
First of a song in a
And I got a message from a friend, from an old art director friend, saying that in my building group, your film is being discussed. This was the first Friday, where I was feeling that, oh, we made the film that it's going to go like, it's going to reach people, and maybe it's not going to do that. And a friend said, oh, your film is getting talked about on the first day of the release. And then this NGO called me and they said, we want to screen your film for, students from marginalized community. Is that okay? And I was like, please take it wherever you want to make as many people watch it. And then a series of NGO screenings happened and we were invited. And we've had a moment which is like a dream for a filmmaker, that you make film because you want that kind of social impact. We've had students from Dalit community, Muslim students, I think all kind of minorities are, relating to it a little more. And there was this Dalit student who said that his father is a SBI bank manager, and he said, we are from an upper class, but every day we are reminded that we are Dalits. And he broke down at the screening, and this is the feedback, best feedback that a filmmaker can have. He said,
I saw myself on the screen.
He's like, this is the first time. And even on my Instagram, I've had, students from the marginalized community saying, this is the first time I'm seeing myself on a mainstream Hindi film on a bigger screen. And it has not happened. And we didn't realize the scope of that till it happened.
So, I mean, does it make you brave enough to do something like this again?
Of course.
And someone to, again, fund you? I hope, Karan, again.
We will not stop making these films.
Yeah. We are not going to censor ourselves.
Wonderful.
Others have to do that.
And you'll find a way out.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Great note to end this. And I can only urge all of you to watch it. I wish it was still running in theaters. I hope they do these re-releases now. Na? They should do a re-release quickly.
I really hope that happens. If that happens, please go to theaters and watch it. And in general, start going back to theaters and like start watching films there. Because theater as a space itself is an equalizer where you don't know who's sitting with you.
Exactly.
Sit with citizens, human beings, and you watch. It's a community feeling.
Yeah, and I was watching it in a half-full theater where everyone was crying, so I was very happy.
It's going to stream on Netflix by end of the month, so please watch it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and may you please keep making these films, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What an eye-opener of a session. I'll now request Ms. Lakshmi Menon to please join on stage, do the honors, and felicitate our speakers. A big round of applause, and those who missed it in theaters, the announcement has already come. It'll be on Netflix by so shortly you can watch it on Netflix as well. I'm sure that one scene that you watched on screens would have compelled you to see the entire movie in near future if you haven't yet seen it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move to our next session before we end it with a contest. So our next session explores the intersection of art and artificial intelligence, where imagination meets innovation. As we get the stage ready, let me introduce our speakers. We have with us artist, writer, and graphic novelist, Mr. Apu Payne, in conversation with Mr. Ravi Shankar for Drawing the Future, Art and AI. Mr. Apu Payne is a writer and artist who has been creating comics, murals, and paintings since 2001. His original universe of stories, Hala Hala, has spawned cult graphic novels including Moonward, Aspirus, Legends of Hala Hala, and The Snake and Lotus. In 2023, he co-created Dream Machine with AI scientist Laure Dore, published globally in English, French, and German. His latest, Wadi Wasal with Perumal Murugan, was released in multiple Indian languages. His superhero satire, Rashtraman and Dystopian Times, are regular features in digital and print media. He has been an artist in residence in Angoulême, France, and is co-editor of Braindead India. And of course, we have with us Mr. Ravi Shankar moderating this session, veteran editor, columnist, and novelist. Currently serves as consulting editor at the Sunday Standard, where he writes a widely read political column, Provocator. So can we have both of them on stage with a huge round of applause from all of you, Mr. Apu Payne and Mr. Ravi Shankar, as I request Mr. Ravi Shankar to take the session forward.
Hello. So I'm back. This time with somebody whom I really admire for the genre and also the work is done. Apupan in Malayalam means old man, grandfather, etc., etc. So it's a very deceptive name unless it is Appu and Pen. So that is up to you. So you have started, you want to show PTP, right?
I've asked
PPT, yeah.
I've asked him to put that on.
Yeah, yeah, you could. Magesh?
Apupan is a badly translated joke. I'd like you to watch this first, then we'll talk.
you should give him a big hand. Congratulations, you have done an amazing job in this. I wanted to ask you about the way you have portrayed the characters. Yes, in this. I mean, obviously they are imaginary in the way of form, though it's not directly attributable. It reminds me of Toulouse-Lautrec and Dali in a way, get a distortionist. So why this visual language which is so rough? I mean, so obviously ugly.
Grotesque. I like that scene. This comes from, I used to be in advertising for a bit, where they warned me that, advertising will take away your soul. So, it's nice to use your creativity to tell people to buy things they don't need at all, and to tell you that your life will be incomplete unless you wear my shoe and things like that. But, that's where we use our creativity a lot. And I think, becoming aware of it, got some gears working in my head. So this is asking the question, who put the dream in your head? Because I figured as advertising people, we're always putting that guy or the girl on the billboard, and everyone look at that and be like that sort of thing. So this is a dreamer who had a dream, and then, people don't have their own ideas. So he makes this city, nobody comes there, but once he calls it the dream city, then everyone's like, yeah, it's a dream city, I have to go there. So everyone's in the dream city, and they all say that we're all following the dream, which was put in their head by the dreamer. That was the idea.
It's a very pessimistic view of life, I can say that.
It's very realistic, if you ask me, because I'm in advertising, this is what we do.
Yeah, I mean, because you talk about advertising and art, advertising is about condensing the message, right? I mean, you have a long story behind it, and you're condensing the message to something to when you pitch it as something to sell. But a narrative artist expands the idea, gives it branches, gives it an overall picture which starts from this story which, instead of condensing, is expanded. Both give a message. Yeah. So how do you kind of relate to, because you've been doing both?
That answers, that is actually the crux of it. Advertising does not want to reveal too much. That's why we reduce the message. So, make it like the USP or something. And in many cases, I personally worked on things where the weakness of the brand is highlighted as the strength. Because, it is an obvious weakness. So if we leave it alone, people will see it as a weakness. So then we start highlighting it as the strength of the brand. It has happened with many brands that have done, and you feel like you are lying basically, but you get paid for it, which is sweet. So we all do it, and people love it, and that's all the questioning you need to do. But when we're doing a story like this one in Aspirus, it was done in 2010 or so. So it's basically all that, from advertising, I went and worked in some NGOs, and I did some what I thought was nice work. So I'm trying to put that in perspective. So here you want to explore a concept. So that's where the more detailed stuff comes in, because we're not afraid to open it up. We want to discuss it. That's the only way we can get anywhere with it. That's why we expand it. In advertising, if we expand it, we give away everything, and then nobody will buy the product. Otherwise, you're buying it so that you get laid or something like that, so you feel good about it.
Yeah, you as a graphic artist it's not like drawing comics. It's not like drawing Phantom or, Mandrake the Magician or something. A graphic artist tells a story which has people and basically has a point of view. Usually, basically a point of view, which is very often tends to be a humanist point of view.
Tends to be?
A humanist point of view. I mean, can you not hear what I'm saying? Because we had a problem earlier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can you guys hear me clearly? All of us?
They can hear us.
Yeah, but we're having that problem. So you have to take a humanist point of view, all right? That could ideologically, I would say, more left than right or even centrist. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of this. So when you take a stand like that, what is the underlying message you're giving?
In my work, it's mostly, there's a lot of tribute to nature and the human mind and the wonders of the human mind. So this is not just my message or anything. It's what I think is sensible now to say, juxtaposed with the kind of like commercial crap we have to like deal out to everybody. So, you know, at the end of it, I want to feel like I didn't completely sell out, or I had some things to say. So that's also why this Abupin thing, you know, like I hope to grow into Abupin. Like it's not like I'm Abupin now, like I'm hoping to grow into Abupin. So I think most artists look at it in that sense, and we try to like have some values here and there. I'm not trying to say that, you know, the art is going to change the world or anything, you know, that's stupid. But, you know, somewhere if somebody, just like I was influenced by a lot of art that I saw, and those thoughts that came in at the right time. You know, when you read a book, sometimes it answers your questions, or you feel like this book was, I had to read it at this time, you know, it was a junction, like, you know, from where I took off in this direction. I think that's the best that art can hope for. So that's the effort here with that, you know, like, okay, this is how it is. And since I am from communication, you know how commercial communication is working. So when it's on my own thing, anyway, the books are not paying for itself. So might as well like say what we have to say at least, you know.
Okay, so is when the book is, I want to know the process by which you do, which kind of create ends in a book. What are the process? Are you responsible for the narration and the visualization and the execution, or is it an art director, is a script writer? How does it work?
See, the comics, we think of like action comics or superheroes because that's the mainstream end of it. So, you know, that's the Bollywood end that they were talking about just before, with the music and the action and all that. It has to cater to a large audience. Ours, we try to do stories which are a little more than that, or more expansive. I can't say it's more, but the idea is to go a little more deeper, or like he said, like, you know, look at it in a more like thing way. I've always written and drawn because I think there's something in there when these two things combine. That's what makes a comic, the writing and the art. So if you can do it yourself, like sometimes you see if it's a writer, director, and the director is editing, then he knows how to shoot it and cut it. You know, those thoughts are already there. So I like to do it like that. I've done it like that for all my books, except the one with Perumal Murugan, who was like, you know, I've been a fan of Perumal Murugan, and then I got a chance to work with him. I'm not going to like take the pen and like do what he does, you know. So I'm very happy to like be the visual counterpart in that collaboration. It was a really good collaboration also. The previous one, what Ravi was talking about earlier, called Dream Machine, I got a chance to work with this French scientist. But unfortunately, like scientists see information on a plane. You know, nothing is more important or less important or anything, or they don't know what catches people's attention. So it's all data. So of course, I had to tell the story, so it's written and drawn by me with all the technical inputs from Laura, who taught me about AI over like 5 months with like PPTs and things like that, because no, I didn't know anything about it before. But I'm glad to report that what I thought in the beginning about AI was not very different from what I thought at the end. You know, finally, it's a big, powerful tool in the hands of very few people, mostly like tech billionaires, and it's come to a stage where no social enterprise, no university, no government even can afford such big machines. So we are going to have to bow down to their terms and take it as they dish it out to us.
You know, where AI is concerned, talent is king.
Huh? Talent.
All right, so Bill Gates, Elon Musk, these are guys who work their ass off. They really, really work hard to get to become the billionaires. So you really can't blame them. It's not that like Rothschild is somebody who's got inherited wealth. No, hang on. So what does it do? I mean, AI exposes the door to imagination. And once you see that door, it's up to you to walk into it and open it or not. Now, the whole fear that AI is going to take over the creative field is something I don't agree with, because AI is done using a computer as a tool as much as a pen or a brush is. It just makes it faster and more kind of, you know, delicate or more kind of, you know, focused because of the algorithms involved. So do you really think that AI is going to kind of destroy the creative scene or not?
It's not going to destroy the creative scene, it's going to destroy the creative person. Already you know, like, all these kids are like, losing their ability to think and like logic and reason and stuff like that because they have like relied on ChatGPT for everything. The problem there with art and creative stuff is it will not come into making a graphic novel like what I'm doing. It will only come where the market is there and the money is there because it is purely a commercial thing. You have been given AI to play with because they got to a plateau of training AI. It cannot train itself anymore without human interaction. So give it to people for free at such a large scale, and they don't talk about how much energy that large scale is suddenly consuming because what was done in a lab is suddenly gone out to the public. And that is only going to happen for like a commercial thing. So where I get hit is not in my comics, but I get my money from like more advertising work or branding work, things like that. That will go away immediately because like AI can train itself on all the existing like brand images, logos and things like that and churn out something cheaper and faster. It's not creative, it's not original in any way, it's just cheaper and faster, and it doesn't like, it doesn't create, it reproduces. So it's all on the training data. So when everybody's playing with it and everybody's feeding in stuff, that's the only way the AI can learn how to interact with humans better. That's why it's been open to you, not because, some big tech guy sitting there is like, feeling like, oh, all of you should play with AI, it's so much fun. No, bullshit. It's completely, you're being made to play because later they will make it like, paid or license-based or something, and then you won't have any brains or anything to do anything, and you'll just be like relying on that. That's what they want, and that's what we are walking into like almost blindly. It's kind of like stupid. Actually, I have like a few slides to show in that thing. I might explain that part.
Okay.
This is the book we worked on in I was at a residency in this French place, so I met the CEO of a company. Can we, Kartikeya, can we do that thingy? So luckily, he is like a CEO of a company, so I got like the business aspect of it from him as well. So once I started talking about the warnings, where we have to be cautious and stuff like that, I found this guy being a little defensive about it. Not like the Bangalore techies I know, who are like, this joint family kind of like business where they don't say anything bad about this tech at all. If there's anything bad about the tech, the only answer is like more tech. Okay, give more money, we'll make bigger or something. It's, it's just how the business runs. Like that's the only way they can think because it has to get bigger. They have to get to a bigger flat. They have to buy a bigger car, the same thing. Oh, there's this one? Which way do I point this? That way or this way? Okay, that's the cover of the book. The cover for the Indian version. For the French version, they like kind of cleaned it up and like had a light blue cover and all, which didn't really work for me at all. But also the French people wanted to put out there on the cover of the book itself that it's not very pro-AI because then people won't buy it. But in India, we don't want to say that it's not very pro-AI. We just leave it like, everything about AI because a lot of people love AI and we think that AI is going to save us because, our politicians just let us down or whatever, yeah. Oh, sorry. So he starts as a superhero because, it's a great time for AI technicians, AI people. It's booming, and like he's been waiting for this boom for a long time. And so he sees himself as a superhero. He's Super Hugo. His name is Hugo in the book. So he's seeing all the possibilities, he's thinking like, I've been working on it and finally it's time and all that. Don't read it, the book is outside. There are only 6 copies, so fight each other for it. And then, you're putting bits together to make this AI thing happen because it's not one person doing it. It's come up over the years with like contribution from many smart, intelligent people. It's all been put together. So he's part of that thing. And then he lands in this park and he becomes the real Hugo who goes to work and who's the CEO. He's not flying anymore. And this is when like things start hitting us because he's walking back from a meeting where a huge corporation wants to take over his technology. They want to buy it. And it's the kind of deal that these startups and all like dream of. It's a dream deal basically, but the corporation is too huge and we don't know what they're going to use this technology for. So he's very happy about it because that's what he's been working for. Now he's thinking about different things. He's also teaching in these places, and he's got his like issues about it. There are issues with AI, but we don't teach the kids about it. We just like go over it because the curriculum doesn't have that as part of it. We just like say, okay, these are the cautious parts, the warnings of AI. We just like list them down and say like too much power and things like that. Some people will lose their jobs. And then during the time while we were working on this book, it became kind of like there were many AI experts saying from the West that 70, 80, 90% of the population of the world will get affected, like jobs will get affected. And they just put it as a number. It's because that 70, 80, 90% is not going to happen there. It's going to happen in places where there is a much larger population and it's like a country like India or Brazil or something. And we just kind of like glaze over it. And then comes the narrative that, art is going to be affected. Artists are going to suffer. Artists have always been suffering. There's no problem with that. We suffer happily. But like, this is a cover-up. This is a cover-up to say that, all the other things are kind of like forgotten or something. Like, no, there are much dire consequences out there. But we like to say, oh, it's so sad. These artists are getting affected. Like, bullshit. On the commercial front, I told you already. So this is superhero flying in for a conference and all that. This is just to show you that I have some really cool artwork in the book also, not just the writing. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. And that, then along the way, I found that, okay, if I want to bring up the real problems that I see about AI, then, might as well introduce myself as a character and, like, bring out all the bad parts. Like, okay, this is a guy who doesn't understand. So he's looking at it from the NGO side or, like, from another spectrum of, like, things from the AI. He's not going to profit really from AI, only by making a book on it. But, like, yeah. So questions are raised. We talk about like different uses all over this. It may take your soul. It may take your job, your identity, and your soul. But hey, it's fun. That's what we like to say.
I'm not entirely sure.
I know you're not sure.
I agree with you completely because see, if you look at it, history is a great disruptor. Technology is a great disruptor, all right? When you say jobs will be lost, when old jobs are lost, new jobs come up. When old opportunities are disturbed by disruption, new opportunities come up. For example, electricity, the great disruptor. A lot of people made a living with oil lamps and lighting. That's over. All right, similarly, the loom, when it came, it disrupted the entire kind of, your entire kind of textile production. The steam engine, when it came, completely kind of, changed energy. So whenever you have a new technology which is coming in, old jobs die and new jobs are created. So since we're still not fully aware of the frontiers of AI, I think we should take it a bit easy.
Yes.
I think we should take it a bit easy. And I see that you have a very strong, I empathize with a very strong pro-humanist, anti-capitalist point of view. But unfortunately, AI cannot do without that. So I think where AI is concerned, I think we could take it easy.
Same thing I also say. Take it easy. We don't know what it's capable of. We don't know what it can like throw up. So why do we have to like shove it down everybody's throats? Because we want a monopoly. Whoever is shoving it down and making it all fast, and you've always been hearing, no, AI is coming, so therefore like something's happening. What is the urgency? We can take some time and chill and like see like what it can do.
Exactly.
Use it for the good parts.
Exactly, yeah.
We've highlighted a lot of good uses in the book also, okay? It's not like I'm like against AI like that, but the way it's being done. See, let's say like industrial revolution, like, things like that happened. But those things happened over like 50, 100 years. This is overnight, and it has nothing to do with anybody sitting in India. It's being done somewhere purely in corporate hands, private hands, no government, nobody has any control over it. And I see it as kind of like this corporate flexing, you know? Like even when we talk about this art problem and all, see recently like that Miyazaki Studio Ghibli thing came up. It's actually a bigger blow to art and artists than what the governments are doing by censoring. I see it as corporate censoring. Because if Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli can't do anything about it, who can?
No, you're looking at the time span in which AI has kind of, you know, thought. AI is about thought. Ultimately, everything is about thought. So, you know, if you look at the history of thought, it's also the history of change. So you really cannot control the human mind. So even if authority tries to, there are martyrs, or there are kind of people who are lucky or are born better, like Galileo, who are kind of imprisoned, or, you know, some if you're unfortunate, you get burned at the stake, blah, blah, blah. But the thought of going beyond the frontier, especially in art, was born a long time ago. So maybe this is a culmination, AI is a culmination of a thought process which began maybe hundreds of years ago. So we cannot say that it was just born today.
We can't control it, that's the thing. And
thought can't be controlled, that's what I'm saying.
Not thought. We can put like regulations, because in Europe it's coming. In the US, you can't publish a book and make money of it with AI-generated art, because it's been understood that that art is kind of stolen. It's taken from all our stuff that we put up online without our permission. They are training it. And even now things are happening like that. So that's where I mean, like, you know, once it happens to Studio Ghibli, I really suspect that Studio Ghibli had a part to play in it, okay? Because suddenly it's become a household name.
Yep.
Everyone knows about Studio Ghibli because of this AI thing. And really, like, have you seen any of their contracts, like even for our books and all that we make, the contract says that any technology existing or going to come and all that stuff. So I'm sure Studio Ghibli has covered their ass like that. But like, why can't they do anything about it? So I started thinking like, okay, this is maybe like hand in hand that they're doing this or something. The problem for me is that there are like, why don't we hear about like AI for health, or like, you know, there are many uses.
No, they are getting into it. They are getting into it.
They're getting into it, and they're ensuring that it will only stay in private hands and it cannot be shared like that. So it's all about copyright and like owning the stuff. Right now, the way this LLM training was happening, we are very clear that we will not achieve any great intelligence with it. We are just going to keep on training, and it will get more used to it, but it won't have a spark of original thought like that. So already money is being pulled out of AI to do new research, to find that originality, that creativity thing. So we don't know how that's going to come. But people are all thinking like, you know, it can tell you the future, it's going to like give you a horoscope and things like that. So at least we can like warn people or tell them like what is really possible, and then like see if we have a choice. So I'm saying like in Europe and all, they will protect certain parts of their economy by saying like, you know, okay, you don't get into these areas. Or you get in only a limited way, so that the industry and those people don't get affected. But we won't have that here. We don't have it for art, we don't have it for anything. I think those regulations, we won't have it all over here. So it will just ride into it, and it's the same like way that we say like, you know, we are seeing the layoffs now, we are seeing a lot, and it's been taken for granted that, okay, big corporations can do that whenever they feel like, but this is going to, like, there was this company thing they did in China where they appointed an AI as the CEO. The first thing it did, it fired everybody and made AI as finance head, accounting head, everything. So it's AI talking to AI, and you just need like one CEO guy or one person who all this AI reports to. Now the same thing can be done to a country also,
May not be a bad idea, actually.
Huh?
I said may not be a bad idea.
May not be?
A bad idea.
Yeah, see? There are people who think that it's not a bad idea. So, because there will be one person who is controlling that, The point is you don't need democracy. You don't need to like ask many people. If you like say something against me, then you're off.
This is a very ideological point of view. And I think that I'm getting sharp dagger looks from our... so, do we have any questions from the audience for Matthew? Yeah. Yeah, there. Why don't you come forward?
Hi. So earlier you spoke about your field as a comic artist. So earlier you spoke about your field as a comic artist or a graphic artist that won't be much disrupted by, let's say, AI. So there have been a plethora of startups like Dashtune in India that have taken a big chunk of readers. So I wanted to get your perspective on it. And then you again spoke about, let's say, AI-generated artwork that can't be monetized in US, for example. So what scope does this type of a startup again have in that space? And for authors who are writing in that space?
So it's recently that I think DALI or Stable Diffusion had that, and ChatGPT have that thing that you can use it for monetary things, and it gives a kind of copyright. It has some like strings attached. They've somehow like wound around the thing. So what I meant is that there is always a mainstream market. Like there is always Superman, Batman, those kind of things. We are not really in that league at all. What we're making are independent comics, and that has a readership that is much more like smaller, and it's mostly like you watch like mainstream movies, and then you start looking, you like the medium, so you like start looking at like more indie thoughts or like other things on the fringe. So our readership comes like that. That area is not currently lucrative or won't be as lucrative as the mainstream. So it will be like for superhero stuff, and there are lots of webtoons that are using AI art. So there, I don't know how they like write it down, or like in certain areas, certain markets, they will have not have it or have it in some way or something like that. But it will always be the mainstream thing. So that wherever there is money, wherever there is energy. So, you know, this is like endless stuff that you can scroll and all, you know, mostly like, you know, for very little money. So those kind of areas it will take. I said like, you know, it won't come
You're talking about a niche market for
us. We are a niche market, you know. We're original art, original comics, like, you know, things about environment and all, which might like disturb people, you know. You feel guilty when you read too much. They're like, hey, come on, like, you know, I just want to live my life happily. Okay, yeah, that's the intention, but for a longer time, you know.
Our excellent Diksha is waiting to kind of end this conversation.
Oh. Yeah, I know that's I mean, I'm sure for all speakers I'm a boo, but can we have a big round of applause? What a interesting discussion. Before we move towards our contest now, so we'd like to thank them once again, and I'll request the editorial director of the New Indian Express, Mr. Prabhu Chawla, to please join on stage and do the honors to felicitate our speaker. A small token of appreciation from the New Indian Express family. Thank you, Mr. Apupen. Judges? We have the judges, right? Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just about to end OLF Day 2, but before that we have a wonderful contest. Just a minute now, let me explain you what has happened so that, you know, we set the context and set the stage also for this last energetic session. So what's going to happen is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a time for a change of pace. It's not just writers who can play with words. We have shortlisted some students from across the state, some from the city, some from different parts of the state, who can do that too. So we bring you the OLF special contest, Just a Minute. Quick wit, fast thinking, and no pauses allowed. Let's see who can beat the clock and keep the words flowing. We have shortlisted 5 candidates who would be coming on stage, picking up a chit from a bowl that I would be holding, and they can pick it up. And then in just a minute, they would be judged on their speed, language, expressions, and body language as well. And guess what? They'll be judged by a very esteemed panel, because we'll have director Ms. Shazia Iqbal, writer Mr. Rahul Badvelkar, and author and journalist Ms. Ipsita Chakravarti judging our participants. So it's going to be a big deal for them. So let me first invite our judges on stage with a big round of applause. And I want all of you to cheer our participants as well when they come on stage one by one. I'll take a minute to explain our judges, about what the 5 candidates before we invite the candidates on stage. So just allow me a couple of seconds as we get into the contest. All right, so as you can see, yes, that's for the contestant. Yes, so as you can see, this is the bowl. I'm going to invite the participant one by one. They're all very nervous backstage, but we wish them all the best, and may the best contestant win. We have some exciting prizes for them at the end as well. So the first name that I'm going to invite, so I'm going to do the basic introduction when we announce the winners. If they want to speak something else, we can do that. But I'll do the basic introduction so they can stick to the rule of doing it in just a minute. So our first contestant is from OUAT. Her name is Adyasha Mishra. So can we have a big round of applause as I invite her on stage?
Good afternoon, everyone. So my topic is, why is global peace crucial for human progress? I have always considered myself a pacifist, which means that I believe peace is always an option, peace is always better than war, and there are always better options than going for war. In today's times, a lot of wars are at place. We all know about the Ukraine situation, the Palestine situation, and we are all worried because they don't only affect those 2 countries, they also affect the entire world as a whole. We all are being affected not just because of trade, but because of the connection we share as humanity as a whole, because we are all humans. It affects us when there are humans dying in a different country. Even when it's miles away, we feel bad about that. And for that reason, I believe that peace should always be in the forefront of our minds. That should be the option we think of when we're thinking of solutions. We should think that peace will always bring the better solution, and we should go forward with Gandhi's words. He always believed that peace will be the better solution for everything, and that is what we all should believe in as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Adyasha. So that was Adyasha from OUTR. Do we ask someone to keep a timer? Do you want to do that? Yes. So maybe somebody can just be there so that we are ensuring that they're doing it in a minute. All right. Our next contestant is Anshika Pradhan. She has finished her 12th and has taken a gap year right now. So I'll invite Anshika on stage for picking up her chit.
My topic is why is protecting rainforest essential for global ecosystems? Very interesting. Rainforest is where our snails, our butterflies, our tribes, our animals, they all live. Our trees, they live in these very rainforests. They give us oxygen, we know that. They give us food, we know that. They give us furniture through their little trunks, through their I got nervous for a second. Through their trunks, through their wood, through their leaves. They give us medicines. Medicines, very important, because the flora and fauna in the rainforest, they give us medicines. So, yeah, I think that's 1 minute.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, let's cheer for them. I mean, it's a big deal to come on stage and, you know, take a topic just like that and speak. So that requires a lot of courage. So, all right. The next one would be Anvesha Rath from OUTR.
Good afternoon, everyone. And my topic is, how would you make homework sound like an adventure? Well, that's an interesting question considering my mother itself is a teacher and she has always been a very fun sort of woman for me. I look up to her for everything. And I think one way to make homework more fun is not to make it sound like homework. I don't know if I'm making sense. But if we could make it sound like some fun activity instead, like a game, which could be thrilling or which could be something that people can look at as a competition, as an adventure. And I think one of the best examples would be this competition itself. Because you know, all of us have the privilege of not getting time to think about it. So it's more like this is an experience. This just a minute competition itself is experience. Even though we're learning so much, it does not feel like learning. I think that is the same thing that could be implemented for homeworks as well. We could create it in a way that it does not sound like homework or an assignment, but more like a playful game where you're using your creativity. Okay. Thank you.
All right, that was 1 minute for Anvesha. Big round of applause for Anvesha. We'll move to our next contestant. This is Prabhalini Mishra from Maharshi College of National Law.
My topic is what steps can stop bullying in schools and online. Well, I was a fat kid in school, so I have been bullied very, very much. And I remember people calling me the buffalo, the elephant, whatever they can name. So I am the perfect person to have this topic today. Today, there are so many ways government has tackled this problem. First of all is awareness and keeping the problem in front of teachers as well as students, as well as creating awareness for the people who bully, that this has very bad consequences on the mentality of the students, the children. And today we also have the anti-ragging certificate in colleges, which is mandatory while admitting, while you can also find teachers and students in this bullying teachers and thank you.
All right, thank you, Prabhalini. So, again, I think a louder applause for all of them. I know that will cheer them up irrespective of how they perform. And our last contestant for the contest, Rally Chaudhary from Dhenkanal Autonomous College. Yeah, you have to take the chip.
Good afternoon, everyone. My topic is, what can we do to address poverty in our communities? Imagine we are living in a society where every day you see people starving, scarcity of food, water, and everything. Would you like to see that every day around yourself? Of course, no. So I think it begins from us. If we think we have enough to fill our plates, to fill our everyday necessities, I think there is no issue to share things. And that is how I feel as a community, each and every one of us can come together to work for it. Poverty is a very serious issue. And in a state like Odisha, where the poverty rates are very high, we should be very conscious and we should spread awareness about the things that we do. And poverty is not just a serious social issue. It's all about our country's reputation over the world. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rali. So that brings us to the end of the contest. There were 5 shortlisted participants. And now we will let the judges take 5 more minutes and finalize and give us the results. We have 3 prizes. We'll go with the third, second, and first in that order. So we'll just give them some time till they finalize and give us the results. So can we have a big round of applause for our judges? They're just settling down, and will give us the results in a short while, and then we'll give away the prizes, of course. Meanwhile, can we make some noise for Odisha Literary Festival 2025 as we get ready to conclude our 13th edition? And once again, we would like to thank all of you who have been there with us on both the days. We are very grateful for your support and your love that you have been showering on us year after year. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready with our results. We would once again like to extend our gratitude to our judges for doing this, for judging this contest. Just a minute. And before we invite the winners on stage, ladies and gentlemen, I want all of you to make some noise for that one man who brought Odisha Literary Festival to Bhubaneswar. And year after year, I see his popularity. You know, everybody in Bhubaneswar loves to have a selfie with him, loves to take a picture with him. And he is none other than the editorial director of the New Indian Express, Mr. Prabhu Chawla. We are grateful that he brought Odisha Literary Festival to Bhubaneswar, and which has remained one of the most favorite festivals of Bhubaneswar. I'll request also a person who has toiled hard to make this a success, Mr. Siba Mahanti, the resident editor of the New Indian Express, Bhubaneswar. Both of you, I'll request you to please join on stage before we invite the winners one by one. Sir, please, if both of you can come on stage and we can give away the checks to our winners. We'll start with the third, and then we go to the second, and then the first. That's how we are going to do. Yes, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the third prize goes to, from Maharshi College of National Law, Prabhalini Mishra. A big round of applause. We have a check of 5,000 that we are giving away to the third prize winner. A small token of appreciation from the New Indian Express family, more of an encouragement for more such young people to come forward, speak what they want to, and get that confidence. The second winner is from OUTR, Ms. Anvesha Rath. So we have a check of 10,000 giving away to the second prize winner. I'll request all the three winners to stay back so that we can have a group photograph at the end. So, and the last one, the first prize, in fact, goes to Adisha Mishra from OUTR. She gets a check of rupees 15,000 from the New Indian Express family. We'll have a group photograph with the judges as well at the end. Okay, the music came in only when the first winner was announced. We missed that for the third and second, but not a problem at all. All right, can we request all the winners to come on stage along with our judges for a group photograph? Let's give a big round of applause to them. That was really sweet on their part to judge these young talents. Yes, now you can all make some noise. All right. Picture perfect end to Odisha Literary Festival 2025. Thank you so much, and congratulations to the winner. What a fantastic finish to Odisha Literary Festival 2025. Truly, when words flow without pause, it's literature in its purest, most playful form. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we bring the curtains down on this year's Odisha Literary Festival. 2 days of word, wit, and wisdom filled with conversation that will echo far beyond these halls. Thank you for joining us on behalf of the New Indian Express and the Odisha Literary Festival family. We would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to all of you for making it a success once again. We hope this love and support continues year after year. Thank you so much. Keep reading, keep questioning, and above all, keep imagining, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience.